not a solution. The mission must continue. Since the black-headed eagle was unwilling to land, it could stay aloft. Though this heightened the danger for Lu Yu and Ru Ming Jiangnan, remaining stationary was not a viable option. Ru Ming Jiangnan nodded obediently, setting aside thoughts of the black-headed eagle as her leader spoke. The summit of Falling Eagle Peak was replete with medicinal herbs, and she soon discovered several varieties of silver-grade herbs. Perhaps due to the black-headed eagle's persistent presence in the air, the wild creatures around these herbs fled in terror as Lu Yu and his companions approached. This brought to Lu Yu's mind the phrase, to borrow the tiger's power. He felt a mix of relief and regret. It was fortunate that these wild creatures did not engage him in battle. Otherwise, the black-headed eagle might have seized the opportunity to swoop down and launch a surprise attack, leaving Lu Yu in a flurry of chaos. Yet, it was a pity that he missed the chance to capture many abyss-level summoned beasts. As night fell, Falling Eagle Peak was enveloped in darkness, devoid of any light source. After spending prolonged periods in the vibrant city, most individuals had lost their sense of this profound darkness. Only in the wilderness could one truly recall the essence of nightfall, and better understand why ancient people held such reverence for the bright moon. In a world shrouded in darkness, only a solitary moon hung high in the sky. Lu Yu summoned the necromancer, providing a feeble source of illumination. The open peaks of the wilderness did not reflect light as cave walls did, and the flickers from the four necromancer's flames barely sufficed. The surroundings were utterly silent. With the absence of the black-headed eagle's piercing cries, only the gentle evening breeze wafted through, bringing a hint of coolness. The chill, after being diminished by the gaming pod, was nearly negligible. Yet, Lu Yu dared not to be careless. He was acutely aware that what appeared deceptively tranquil was, in truth, far more perilous. The black-headed eagle had certainly not departed. It was likely soaring above, observing him and his companions from a distance. Its vision remained unaffected by the darkness of night, as it awaited the opportune moment to strike. The prospect of such an encounter was far from favorable. Jiangnan, how much progress do we have left on the mission? Lu Yu inquired. Leader, we are still missing one rare herb, but we have thoroughly scoured the Falling Eagle Peak, Jiangnan replied, a note of urgency creeping into his tone as he grasped their precarious situation. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yu realized that this task was indeed more complex than it had initially seemed. The final rare herb was undoubtedly hidden with great secrecy, making it elusive to find. Let us review the mission details once more to see if we have overlooked anything. Jiangnan swiftly opened the task details and read attentively. A cave. The mission hints that there should be a cave here. A cave? Lu Yu frowned, unable to recall any cave on Falling Eagle Peak. At that moment, a cloud obscured the moonlight, plunging the entire Falling Eagle Peak into an impenetrable darkness. With only the flickering violet glow of the necromancer's firelight piercing through the gloom, a mere drop in the ocean compared to the encompassing night. Suddenly, Lu Yu felt a fierce wind rush past him, and he could vaguely discern a massive black shadow looming before him. Alarm bells rang in his mind, prompting him to activate his wrist guard, which provided a shield against damage. 5,677. A tremendous blow struck him from above, reducing him to a mere sliver of health. System notification. You have suffered a critical hit from Black-Headed Eagle, S-Skill Diamond Claw, inflicting 11,354 damage. System notification. Your equipment effect, Sealed Barrier, has activated. Your health is now 5677. Had it not been for the protective effect of the Sealed Barrier, Lu Yu would likely have perished. With a hefty bounty of 100 million red name points, his demise would be quite disheartening. Losing all progress to level 0 and emptying his inventory would be trivial. Yet upon returning to the spring, he would undoubtedly be captured by the guards. If he were truly imprisoned, given his current strength, the chances of escape were almost non-existent. Based on the current red name points, it would take 2 years for him to emerge from confinement. The only reason for potential release would be the depletion of red name points while in the cell, or due to the impending invasion that would lay waste to Lingfeng City, leaving no sanctuary amidst the chaos. Leader, Jiangnan exclaimed in alarm. Revitalizing touch has already been cast upon you. First, ensure your own safety. Do not concern yourself with me. He instructed. The priest is the heart of the team. Should the priest fall, the team would lose its lifeblood. Thus, in times of danger, the priority is typically to safeguard the priest above all else. Lu Yu, having consumed a vial of blood, restored his health to a safe threshold. The skeletal general and the goblin general, under his command, swung their long blades into the darkness. But 2 large miss notifications appeared. The black-headed eagle's speed was too swift. Lu Yu's counterattack was a moment too late. Engaging in combat with the black-headed eagle in the dark was certainly not a prudent decision. The night was not clear, clouds still loomed overhead. And if the moonlight were to be obscured again, the situation would become dire. Lu Yu resolved to find a secure refuge while the clouds drifted by. Ru Ming Jiangnan shook her head, stating that the quest prompt did not provide any indication. This was troublesome. Lu Yu closed his eyes slightly, rapidly recalling the areas he and Ru Ming Jiangnan had traversed moments ago. Most of the time, they had been navigating in darkness. Discerning the herbs was already a challenge, let alone memorizing the terrain, which seemed nearly impossible. What are you two doing just standing there? Come here. On the hillside. A massive rock suddenly revealed a hole, from which an elderly man, his hair and beard entirely white, peered out. Lu Yu glanced over to see the man's head adorned with an ID. Sun Miao, the apothecary, Earth level. Chapter 143. Sun Miao the rock had opened a passage? Ru Meng Jiang Nan remained puzzled, while Lu Yu swiftly commanded the skeleton to lift her, and they both rushed towards the entrance. As a cloud drifted past, it once again obscured the moonlight. Lu Yu felt a sense of urgency and quickened his pace. The opening was small, barely allowing one person to pass through. Behind him, Lu Yu could already sense the howling winds of the black-headed eagle approaching. He immediately recalled all his summoned beasts and pushed Ru Meng Jiang Nan into the cave. Just as he intended to follow suit, an excruciating pain suddenly pierced through him. It felt as though several sharp swords had plunged into his body. 10086. A staggering amount of damage appeared above Lu Yu's head. The black-headed eagle's massive claws withdrew from his body, causing his health to plummet to zero as he collapsed to the ground. The black-headed eagle let out an exultant screech, seemingly celebrating its victory in this fierce battle. However, in the next moment, Lu Yu unexpectedly rose from the ground and rolled into the cave. The black-headed eagle hesitated midair, nearly plummeting to the ground. As it stared incredulously at Lu Yu, the prey it had seemingly slain had risen once more. How could this be? Lu Yu sat on the ground, breathing heavily. That last blow had truly hurt. He resolved to remember to minimize the pain threshold during such moments in the future, for enduring such agony with each death would surely lead to despair. Fortunately, Ru Meng Jiang Nan had cast a resurrection spell on him, or he would have been trapped in the dark confines of the game. Outside the cave, the black-headed eagle continued to circle and screech, its massive form unable to enter the cave, leaving it to rage impotently outside. Master, are you well? Lu Yu nodded, surveying the cave. The cave was modest in size, with a cluster of flickering flames at its center, where 3 individuals sat in a somewhat cramped circle. Lu Yu glanced toward the entrance, where a hide was affixed, its hue reminiscent of the surrounding rock, easily overlooked and less observed closely. Within this cave, there were not just one but multiple such hides. Another was draped behind Sun Miao. It appeared to obscure something. What brings you 2 adventurers to the mountains at this late hour? Sun Miao inquired, casting a kindly glance at Lu Yu and Ru Meng Jiang Nan. Lu Yu remained silent, as even a fool could deduce that this elderly man was likely the mentor of Ru Meng Jiang Nan. At this moment, it was most fitting for Ru Meng Jiang Nan to speak. Greetings, Master. We have come to fulfill the apothecary's employment task. Oh, an apothecary, you say? Are you the one who opened the secrecy command? Ru Meng Jiang Nan nodded, retrieving the secrecy command from his backpack and placing it before Sun Miao. Sun Miao casually picked it up, examined it for a moment, and then returned it to Ru Meng Jiang Nan. I have yet to receive your notification of completing the prerequisite task. Have you encountered any difficulties? Ru Meng Jiang Nan candidly recounted the experiences he and Lu Yu had faced that day, producing the 19 rare herbs he had gathered. Master, we have scoured the Falling Eagle Peak and have not found the 20th herb. Do you know where it can be located? Sun Miao did not respond immediately but meticulously counted each herb presented by Ru Meng Jiang Nan. Butterfly orchid, violet, honeysuckle. Oh, I see. You are still missing the bicolor flower. Ru Meng Jiang Nan's eyes lit up. Master, do you know where we can gather the bicolor flower? Sun Miao gestured toward the entrance of the cave. It is just outside. Lu Yu frowned. He had observed the area outside the cave earlier and had not seen any herbs, not even a single blade of grass. As Ru Meng Jiang Nan leaned out to look, Sun Miao chuckled. No need to check. They have already withered away. What? Withered? Ru Meng Jiang Nan exclaimed. I just finished gathering them today. It will take several days for them to grow back. What shall we do then? Do not worry, since it is my task. I shall simply grant you completion. In the next moment, Ru Meng Jiang Nan received notification of the task's completion, and the map indicated the mentor's location. This very Sun Miao. Thank you, Master. Ru Meng Jiang Nan exclaimed with delight. Do not mention it. It is my fault for not expecting someone to find this place so quickly. By the way, do you still call me Master? Oh, thank you, Mentor. Well then, I am getting old and have not heard a young lady call me that in quite a while, yet we must still adhere to the formalities. Sun Miao spoke as he placed his hand gently upon the shoulder of dreaming Jiang Nan. The sky is shrouded in darkness, the earth stained with blood. Amidst this profound silence, the seeds of hope have quietly begun to sprout. What we gather is not merely herbs, but the vibrant essence of life. What we refine is not merely elixirs, but the hopes of humanity. Today, I, Sun Miao, shall guide you upon the path of the apothecary. Do you consent? Dreaming Jiang Nan solemnly nodded. I consent. In the next moment, an additional line appeared beneath Dreaming Jiang Nan's ID, apothecary. Sun Miao withdrew his hand from Dreaming Jiang Nan's shoulder and turned his gaze towards Lu Yu. If my conjecture is correct, you must be the one known as Clear Wine? Lu Yu's ID was in a hidden state, invisible to ordinary individuals. Yet this elder had discerned it. Lu Yu felt a twinge of surprise, as if everyone recognized him. He nodded slightly. I am Clear Wine. Sun Miao's gaze towards Lu Yu softened with warmth. Ah, heroes emerge in youth. I have long heard my old friend speak of you. I never anticipated witnessing you in person today. Old friend. At the mention of these words, An image of a lecherous old man involuntarily surfaced in Lu Yu's mind. You refer to that old friend. Could it be the elder of the novice village, number 12,315? Indeed, that old fellow. Lu Yu covered his forehead, confirming his suspicion. Despite having left the novice village for quite some time, it seemed that old man was ever present. He always resurfaced unexpectedly. Even during the last occasion when he saved Wu Tianju, the old village chief was mentioned. However, this Sun Miao, in comparison to the old village chief and Wu Tianju, embodied a more benevolent elder figure in Lu Yu's heart. Unlike those two, who seemed like two aging rascals. Might I inquire why you are here? When Lu Yu last visited Falling Eagle Peak, he had not encountered Sun Miao. At that time, Wu Tianju was present, but he had not mentioned Sun Miao. It seemed that Sun Miao had only recently arrived at Falling Eagle Peak. Elder Zhu mentioned that he sensed something amiss here at Falling Eagle Peak. Thus the young lady dispatched me to investigate. The young lady? Sun Hanyu. Lu Yu recognized that all three elders were acquainted with her. Wu Tianju referred to Sun Hanyu as the young lady, and it appeared Sun Miao did likewise. However, judging by Sun Miao's demeanor, his relationship with Sun Hanyu seemed far more amicable than that of Wu Tianju and Sun Hanyu. Have you made any discoveries? Sun Miao remained silent, instead pulling aside the animal hide behind him, revealing an opening large enough for a person to enter. Chapter 144. The Malevolent Map of the Underworld Tribe. Is this the entrance to the map? Lu Yu, relying on his intuition, sensed that the map within might hold great significance. Based on my observations, this is likely a lair of the Underworld Tribe. The lair of the Underworld Tribe is indeed the malevolent map of the Underworld Tribe. Dreaming Jiangnan, perplexed, turned to look at Lu Yu, only to find his expression had grown exceedingly serious. Mentor, what exactly is the lair of the Nether Tribe? Is it a dungeon? Lu Yu interjected. It is essentially a malevolent realm. Ru Ming Jiangnan widened her eyes. So if one dies inside, they lose 5 levels? And it's south the kind of place where one cannot exit without defeating the boss. Such malevolent realms are exceedingly rare and often shrouded in secrecy. Not to mention ordinary players. Even some seasoned veterans have never ventured within. However, the lack of personal experience does not equate to ignorance. There have been instances where individuals unwittingly stumbled into malevolent realms, only to find themselves ensnared and ultimately resorting to seeking help on forums. Thus, malevolent realms entered the consciousness of ordinary players, becoming a forbidden ground for leveling up. Only a handful of intrepid players dared to explore, only to find themselves trapped in the same predicament. Lu Yu nodded. Sun Miao surely comprehended the implications of the Nether Tribe's lair, and Lu Yu understood the significance of its appearance. However, he found it difficult to explain to Ru Ming Jiangnan. It was perhaps best for her to perceive it merely as a malevolent realm. Master Sun, do you have any idea about the approximate levels of the Nether Tribe within? In his previous life, no one was aware of the lair's existence, and thus Lu Yu had no information to draw upon. Sun Miao shook his head. I only discovered it today and have yet to dare enter for a closer look. I was contemplating whether to return tomorrow and invite the young lady to accompany me. The Nether Tribe is unlike other races. Their lairs typically do not house low-level entities. Sun Miao displayed a notable caution. The Nether Tribe is the foremost race of the Abyss, and their levels are generally high. Lu Yu summoned the spectral being from his realm, which, in terms of levels, was already among the weakest. Lu Yu glanced at Ru Ming Jiangnan beside him. After dawn tomorrow, you should have Master Sun escort you down the mountain. Ru Ming Jiangnan paused, then quickly responded, Leader, do you intend to go inside? I wish to assess the situation. With the lair of the Nether Tribe present, it becomes clear why 3 of them were once seen atop the Falling Eagle Peak. They originally emerged from here. This realization intensified Lu Yu's resolve to investigate further. Moreover, the door mentioned by Wang Dazue could only be found within the corresponding malevolent realm of that race. Since Lu Yu intended to explore the foreign realms before the Abyss descended, he must first locate the entrance to the Nether Tribe. For this reason alone, he felt compelled to enter. He currently commanded tens of thousands of skeletal soldiers, including a 60-level golden boss, the Skeletal General. As long as the malevolent realm did not consist of Nether Tribe entities averaging level 80, Lu Yu was confident he could emerge alive. Leader, I wish to accompany you. Why would you tag along? My purpose in entering is not to engage in battles for leveling. The dangers within are far greater than you can imagine. Alone, I can navigate with more discretion. Leader, do you look down upon me? Moments ago, I was on the brink of death. And had it not been for my resurrection spell, someone would have been confined to a dark room. If I hadn't prioritized pushing you into danger, that menacing black-headed eagle would have never harmed me. Do not jest. There are numerous summoned beasts in our guild awaiting your return to heal them. Is there not the Azure Wolf? You did mention in the group that the Azure Wolf is a one-time consumable. I care not. If the guild leader forbids me from entering alongside you, I shall venture in alone. Taking a deep breath, I recalled this afternoon when I stated that any young lady who does not rebel is quite delightful. Yet, as night fell, Ru Ming Jiangnan immediately made me experience the essence of a rebellious adolescent. Very well, I capitulated. I cannot indefinitely confine Ru Ming Jiangnan. You may accompany me, but you must obey my every command. Indeed, Ru Ming Jiangnan nodded, affirming that she had been listening to the guild leader all day. Yet, during the boss battle, you still followed my lead. While foraging for herbs, no steed could match your speed. I turned to Sun Miao. Master Sun, I must trouble you to inform my mentor. Sun Miao gently stroked his beard, acknowledging, of course, you adventurers are truly courageous. I, an old man, dare not venture into peril. I smiled subtly. Some risks are indeed worth taking. Sun Miao retrieved dozens of potions and a plethora of herbs from his bag, offering the herbs to Ru Ming Jiang and along with several prescriptions. These herbs and prescriptions correspond. Once you have refined them all, you should achieve an intermediate level. Ru Ming Jiang then hurriedly expressed her gratitude to Sun Miao and stowed the items in her bag. I cast an envious glance. 1S mentor is so generous, directly elevating her to an intermediate level. Reflecting on Wu Tianzhu, whose stinginess was evident, he scarcely provided materials for himself and even sought to swindle ores from me. Sun Miao then presented potions before Ru Ming, Jiangnan, and myself. These potions possess special effects. Under certain circumstances, they may yield unexpected results. I casually picked up a few potions to examine. Stealth potion, fire resistance potion, water avoidance potion. Goodness, are these not concoctions that only an alchemist could create? How could this old man have such potions? Or does Sun Miao know an alchemist? If so, might I inquire if he could provide leads on the alchemist's side pursuits? Master Sun, do you know any alchemists? Alchemists? Sun Miao scoffed, disdain evident on his face. A few who pilfered my mentor's prescriptions dare to establish their own sect. Alchemists. Bah. Speaking of alchemists, Sun Miao's demeanor shifted from benevolence to palpable fury. I was slightly astonished. I had not anticipated such deep-seated animosity between Sun Miao and the alchemists. However, the art of alchemy is not merely a matter of possessing a recipe. Even an ordinary apothecary, despite having these formulas, would still be unable to concoct potions with extraordinary effects. It appears that the existence of potion masters is shrouded in some secret that remains unspoken. Lu Yu chose not to pursue the matter further, instead placing the potion into his backpack. He inclined his head slightly towards Sun Miao and then turned to Junming Jiangnan, saying, Jiangnan, I shall proceed inside. Chapter 145. The Abyssal Cavern. Lu Yu stepped into the cave first, with Junming Jiangnan closely following him. In truth, having Junming Jiangnan accompany him was an excellent choice. Her ample healing capabilities and resurrection spells significantly enhanced Lu Yu's chances of survival. This consideration ultimately led to his decision not to refuse her presence outright. As the two traversed through a veil of mist, the surroundings gradually came into focus after a brief moment of disorientation. Before them lay a vast expanse of overlapping caverns, stretching endlessly, resembling a sunless prairie. However, this prairie was constructed of earth and dark bricks, a testament to the preferences of the Abyssal clan for shadowy habitats. As their dwellings often took the form of such caves, the lower-ranking members of the Abyssal clan would excavate the ground beneath, while the nobility typically built their abodes against the mountainside. Lu Yu had once witnessed a secondary stronghold of the Abyssal clan, whose opulence could rival that of a primary stronghold belonging to the human race. Even these lower-tier caverns exhibited excellent ventilation. They were not damp in the least, but rather quite dry. Along the walls of the cave, luminous phosphorescent stones were strategically placed every few steps, ensuring that the interior was not engulfed in darkness. Standing within, one felt less like one was in a goblin cave, characterized by dampness and the stench of decay, and more as though experiencing the allure of an alien culture. Yet, at this moment, Lu Yu found little inclination to appreciate the charm of this foreign environment. Chief, he began, but quickly raised a hand to silence Junming Jiangnan, signaling her to refrain from speaking. Lu Yu had considerable experience with other malevolent territories, but this particular map was entirely new to him. Moreover, given that it belonged to the Abyssal clan, he was even more cautious. Nevertheless, a glimmer of good news emerged, judging by the architectural style. This place did not seem to belong to the Abyssal nobility. It was likely a gathering spot for commoners, perhaps even slaves. This implied that the Abyssal beings encountered here would not possess overwhelmingly formidable combat capabilities. Lu Yu summoned a black-headed eagle. Although the cave was relatively spacious, it was not ample enough for the eagle to soar freely. The Abyssal creatures were inherently dark in hue, making them difficult to detect in such a dim environment. Lu Yu intended to leverage the eagle's keen eyesight to survey the surroundings. With the skill Mind SI, Lu Yu gained a night vision-like clarity, revealing the immediate landscape. No Abyssal beings were in motion nearby, ensuring temporary safety. Gazing upward towards a higher point ahead, he discerned the outline of a rudimentary fortress, seemingly under construction for some defensive purpose. The castle lay a considerable distance from Lu Yu, at least over 10 miles away. It was likely the very core of this cavern. Beyond the fortress, clusters of stone houses stood, huddled together in twos and threes, their extent seemingly boundless. Further beyond, small mounds of earth dotted the landscape, resembling graves. These were, in fact, the dwellings of the lowest-tier slaves. Lu Yu and Ru Ming Jiang found themselves at the very edge of these mounds. Lu Yu retracted the black eagle and whispered, "It should be their sleeping time now. Let us tread carefully to avoid disturbing them." Just as Lu Yu uttered these words, the ground beneath him suddenly shifted. and a pitch-black arm burst forth from the earth. He quickly glanced down, and beneath his shadowy boots, a half-visible face emerged. Lu Yu remarked, "All other wraiths know to cover themselves with more earth while sleeping. Why do you only have this thin layer? You made it seem like no one was here, and I inadvertently stepped right on you. Alas, you were peacefully slumbering and now have been awakened by my clumsiness. My apologies. I shall help you return to sleep." The general of the skeletons thrust his large blade down, and dark, grayish blood gushed forth as the wraith struggled desperately. However, Lu Yu firmly pressed his foot against the wraith's mouth, rendering it voiceless. The skeleton general struck twice more, and the wraith transformed into a beam of light, soaring into Lu Yu's summoning space. Lu Yu opened its panel. Wraith Servant, common wild creature, level, 45 health, 80,000 attack, 450 defense, 400 description, the lowest tier of the wraiths. This group constitutes the largest population among them, bearing the brunt of the labor within their kind. A mere slave had reached level 45. In contrast, among the human race, Lu Yu, at level 35, was already the highest level across the entire server. Given that humanity had only been exposed to the abyss for half a month, achieving such prowess was commendable. However, the strength of this wraith servant was rather unimpressive. At level 45, its attributes barely surpassed those of a level 30 ironbone skeleton. Lu Yu disdainfully scoffed and discarded it into a corner of the summoning space. Let's continue on. This type of non-combatant minion is not worth my time to capture en masse. Suddenly, Rumeng Jiangnan tugged at Lu Yu's sleeve, pointing toward a cluster of mounds not far off. Lu Yu followed her gaze and observed that the graves had been unearthed, with shadowy figures emerging from within. "Boss, do the wraiths sleep in the nude?" Rumeng Jiangnan inquired, curiously eyeing the exposed forms. The wraiths bore a striking resemblance to humans, and many of the male wraiths, even when dejected, possessed a certain impressive length. Lu Yu quickly covered Rumeng Jiangnan's eyes, saying, "Some sights are best left unseen." It appears that they were not roused by Lu Yu's disturbance, but rather it was simply time for them to awaken. The spectral servants, emerging from the earth, languidly wrapped tattered cloths around their waists, their eyes devoid of life. However, they soon caught a whiff of the sanguine scent permeating the air. This race possesses exceptionally acute senses. The almost imperceptible odor of blood struck them like the stench of unwashed garments. In unison, their obsidian skulls turned towards Lu Yu and Rumeng Jiangnan. Rumeng Jiangnan involuntarily shivered, instinctively retreating behind Lu Yu, her small hands clutching at his waist. Yet, feeling that such proximity was overly intimate, she quietly released her grasp and gently held onto the hem of Lu Yu's attire. With a sigh, Lu Yu realized that his initial intention to stealthily approach was no longer feasible. With a single gesture, he summoned a legion of skeletons, their numbers vastly outnumbering the spectral servants before them. Bolstered by Lu Yu's war horn, the skeleton army surged forward, roaring towards the newly awakened spectral servants. In an instant, dark blood splattered, and a one-sided massacre commenced. "Master, might this be a tad cruel?" Rumeng Jiangnan averted her gaze, unable to witness the carnage. Lu Yu's expression turned solemn. "You may pity them, but they will show no mercy to the human race. In fact, the greatest harm to the common folk is not inflicted by the spectral nobility, but by these very slaves. The nobles, with their self-proclaimed lofty morals, refrain from attacking the commoners. Yet these slaves unleash their pent-up anger upon the human populace." Chapter 146, Discovered? This slaughter lasted only a mere 10 minutes, resulting in the demise of several hundred spectral servants, while not a single skeleton soldier fell, thanks to Rumeng Jiangnan's restorative abilities. She lifted her head, beaming with pride as she looked at Lu Yu. "How about that? Bringing me along was indeed the right choice, wasn't it?" Lu Yu nodded, his gaze filled with admiration for her. Without her healing, they would have lost at least 100 skeletons just moments ago. Now, with Rumeng Jiangnan present, every skeleton remained unscathed and in peak condition. Truly, the reputation of the first healer of the human race is well deserved. The closest spectral servants to Lu Yu and Rumeng Jiangnan had been entirely eradicated. Only in the distance could they faintly discern the silhouettes of the remaining spectral servants, who remained oblivious to Lu Yu's presence. Eager to continue the onslaught, Rumeng Jiangnan was abruptly halted by Lu Yu's firm grasp. Their earlier actions had been born of necessity. Now that they remained undetected, it was prudent to maintain a low profile. After all, although the cave was teeming with spectral servants, they were not the sole inhabitants. Lu Yu harbored suspicions that the cave's ultimate boss had likely completed its second transformation, of being on par with his own mentor. It was best to avoid detection whenever possible. Lu Yu retrieved the stealth potion gifted by Sun Miao from his backpack and handed a vial to Rumeng Jiangnan. "Let us clandestinely infiltrate that castle and investigate," he proposed. Lu Yu had developed a profound curiosity about the fortress, which the underworld clan had constructed in such a desolate location. They must be concealing some significant secret. The two of them promptly consumed the stealth potion, their bodies instantaneously becoming ethereal. A system notification echoed. "Under the influence of stealth potion, you have entered stealth mode, lasting for 30 minutes. Engaging in active combat or sustaining damage will terminate this state." Having consumed stealth potions in his previous life, Lu Yu quickly acclimated to the stealth mode. However, for Ru Ming Jiangnan, this was her inaugural experience. She curiously examined her translucent form, filled with exhilaration. The Underworld clan possessed a unique perceptive ability, rendering stealth mode susceptible to detection, especially in the presence of nobles, where one could scarcely remain concealed. Nevertheless, consuming the potion was undeniably preferable to brazenly barging in. Moreover, the likelihood of being discovered by the mindless underworld servants was relatively low. Enough of the antics. Lu Yu gently tapped Ru Ming Jiangnan on the head. We must attend to the task at hand. Due to their partnership, they could still perceive each other's outlines. Ru Ming Jiangnan nodded obediently, closely trailing behind Lu Yu. Along their path, they encountered several underworld servants, and Lu Yu skillfully navigated around them, opting for longer routes to avoid detection. As he pondered this, he suddenly noticed an underworld servant turning its head toward him, its eyes betraying a flicker of rage and malice. In an instant, it roared and lunged at Lu Yu with outstretched arms. Damn, have we been discovered? Lu Yu gasped, swiftly sidestepping to evade the servant's attack, just as he prepared to summon the skeletal general. He was astonished to see the underworld servant engaging in a scuffle with another servant behind him. The two seemed to harbor a prior grudge, and upon encountering one another, their hostility flared. Lu Yu exhaled a sigh of relief. I knew it. If even the underworld servants could easily penetrate stealth mode, the underworld clan would be utterly invincible. Meanwhile, Ru Ming Jiangnan gently patted her chest, indicating her recent fright. At the tender age of 16, she was already embarking on the journey toward maturity, both mentally and physically. Lu Yu placed a finger against his lips, signaling her to minimize her movements. Stealth, after all, did not equate to absolute silence. At that moment, the two underworld servants were embroiled in a fierce brawl, one biting off the other's ear while the other snapped a finger in retaliation. Neither was willing to relent. The commotion quickly attracted a multitude of underworld servants, some of whom, understanding the animosity between the two fighters, fanned the flames of discord. Zhang San. It was Li Si who slandered you before Lord Bing, leading to your 40 lashes. And you only broke one of his fingers? Li Si, are you not the one who always claims the child does not resemble you? I find him quite reminiscent of Zhang San, the last time you were on night duty. I even saw him visiting your wife. What purpose does it serve to bite off his ear? You should have bitten off something more significant. Lu Yu listened in silence. Exasperated. Truly, the onlookers are oblivious to the chaos they create. Such enthusiastic spectators can be found everywhere. Unlike the goblin and undead races, the spectral clan does not consist of low-tier units with diminished intellect, acting solely on commands and instinct. Even the most basic spectral servants possess independent thoughts and consciousness. Yet, they are oppressed by the nobility, spending their days toiling and sleeping, with little entertainment to speak of. Encountering such an event today was akin to the exhilaration of watching a performance during the new year, with cheers echoing incessantly. The commotion soon attracted a squad of guards wielding whips, who lashed out at the spectral servants, demanding to know what they were doing gathered there. Why aren't you hauling bricks? If you fail to conceal this in time and humans discover it, you will all perish. Upon seeing the guards approach, some individuals hastily departed. Those who were slow to flee received brutal lashes, leaving their backs bloodied and raw, where there had been a throng of spectral servants. Only Zhang San and Li Si remained, motionless on the ground. One of the guards approached for a closer look. Captain, they are both nearly dead. Let them die. It's a waste of provisions to keep them alive. Yes, the whips cracked down on the two, instantly depleting their life force. Lu Yu glanced at the captain of the guards, Spectral Sergeant, Abyss-level monster, level, 60 health. Attack, defense. Even this minor captain was already a level 60 Abyss creature. His soldiers were also elite monsters of the same level. Such small squads were ubiquitous throughout this map. From the moment Lu Yu and Ru Ming Jiangnan arrived, they had been suppressing their presence, fearful of being detected. While Lu Yu could easily handle this small squad, defeating them would only attract countless more. He could withstand a dozen or so level 60 Abyss monsters, but facing 100 would be a different story altogether. Even utilizing a swarm tactic would be futile, as the opponent could also muster a vast horde. Just then, the sergeant seemed to sense something, slowly approaching the location of Lu Yu and Ru Ming Jiangnan. Chapter 147. Mo Liu. Mo Xing. Lu Yu's heart raced as he prepared for battle. The sergeant reached forward, his dark fingers brushing perilously close to Lu Yu's nose. Just a hair's breadth away from contact, Lu Yu had quietly raised his right hand, ready to summon the skeletal general for an explosive strike the moment his stealth was compromised. The sergeant withdrew his hand, glancing back toward Lu Yu's position. Captain, is something amiss? The captain of the soldiers exhibited a clear expression of confusion, but ultimately shook his head. It's nothing, let us go. We have less than 3 days left to complete the task. We cannot withstand the wrath of the Songmaster. With that, the captain departed with a dozen guards. Lu Yu observed as they indeed moved further away, showing no intention of returning. Only then did he shift his position, turning to glance at the curious girl, Ru Ming Jiangnan. He realized she was standing several dozen meters away, peering intently in his direction. It seemed he was the only one who had come to join the commotion. Curiosity, it appears, nearly led to peril. However, he did not leave empty-handed. He had at least confirmed two crucial pieces of information. Firstly, something significant was indeed being constructed at the center of the cave. Secondly, the boss character here should be the Netherworld Singer. This revelation left Lu Yu feeling somewhat troubled. The Netherworld Singer represented the strongest profession among the Netherfolk, second only to the Son of the Netherworld, and it was highly probable that this entity had undergone its second transformation. Even if it were merely a projection of the Netherfolk, it was beyond Lu Yu's capacity to confront. It appeared that any hope of leaving this place rested solely on the possibility of obtaining a map from the Abyss-level wild monsters. He decided to head towards the construction site to ascertain what they were actually doing. Rumeng Jiangnan bounced over, exclaiming, "Leader, you're so impressive. You remained calm in such a tense situation. If it were me, I would have retaliated long ago." Lu Yu brushed off the dust from his clothing. "Let us go. There are already Netherworld sentinels here. If we proceed further, we must be even more cautious." Rumeng Jiangnan nodded obediently. Inside the castle, a tall, emaciated figure of a Netherfolk stood at the forefront. Beside him stood another individual bearing a resemblance to him. If Lu Yu were present, he would recognize this individual as the one who had been monitoring him within the Goldenstone secret realm. Both Netherfolk stood by the window, gazing into the distance. Their IDs displayed above their heads. Mo Liu, Netherworld Singer, and Mo Xing, Netherworld Envoy. Behind them, dozens of wild monsters, bearing the title of Netherworld Captain, stood trembling. Mo Liu did not turn around, but spoke coolly. "Did you see him?" A Netherworld Captain hurriedly replied. "In response to your greatness, I did sense his presence. However, following your command, I refrained from alarming him." "You only sensed him?" "Yes, my lord. At that moment, my perception indicated that there was only that one person before me." Mo Liu nodded. "You did well. I promote you to the chief captain here. Once this construction is completed, I shall take you back to the clan, transforming you from a mere projection into a true Netherfolk." The captain was instantly overwhelmed with joy and hastily knelt, bowing his head. "Thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord. Enough, you may all leave now. Remember my words. Even if you truly sense the presence of the human race, act as if you have seen nothing. As you command." All the captains withdrew. Within the castle, only Morlu and Moxing remained. "Brother, I never anticipated that your true form could also traverse barriers. Recently, our clan has discovered a novel method to breach these barriers, allowing for a relaxation of certain restrictions. However, this approach only permits me to enter what the human race deems the evil map. I am unable to exit from here. So, you have opened a breach in our sealed entrance?" The clan places significant emphasis on the abyssal professions of humanity. The Son of the Nether has issued a decree that the abyssal summoner known as Qingjio must be eliminated without delay. Moxing nodded solemnly. "The decree from the Son of the Nether? The Lord? The Lord is now in slumber. It is the Son of the Nether who oversees all matters. By the way, how is your team's infiltration mission progressing?" "Not particularly smoothly," Moxing admitted, a look of shame crossing his face. "Yumian was killed by Qingjio, and I was unable to procure their secret realm crystal due to Qingjio's interference." Morlu turned his gaze, coldly regarding Moxing. "What I wish to hear are tidings of success, not your lamentations." Moxing trembled. Though this man was his elder brother, he was also his superior. "Yes, the good news is that our captain's operation was a success. All the dwarves of Wanjin Mountain have been eliminated." Upon hearing this, Morlu's expression softened slightly. "Well done. The death of the dwarves will deprive Lingfeng City of ore, preventing them from forging superior equipment. Brother, once the racial barrier is lifted, shall we strike Lingfeng City? Do not question what is unnecessary. Focus on the task at hand." "Yes, I have already dispatched projections to monitor Qingjio and a young human girl. They remain under my control." "You have managed to control these two?" Moxing was taken aback. "Did not the humans just enter with those two? I warned the clan that your abilities were lacking." "The mission of infiltrating humanity is of great importance and requires careful consideration." Moxing felt a surge of panic. If he were truly recalled due to mission failure, it would be a tremendous disgrace to the clan. In that event, he feared he would lose the clan's recognition entirely, and his fate would be reduced to that of a mere soldier. The disparity between being a top-tier noble and a soldier would be more painful than death itself. "Brother, could there be others who have also entered?" "Another cunning rat has stealthily slipped in, though not in league with Qingjio." "Oh, this rat seems to possess considerable wealth." Morlu mused, seemingly intrigued by the individual. "Qingjio and that enchanting figure, their target is this castle. I will deal with them, you take care of the other." "Brother, leave Qingjio to me." "Leave him to you? Do you believe you can defeat him? A mere human, I smack." Mo Liu slapped Mo Xing across the face, exclaiming, "Not only do you lack ability, but you are also quite foolish." Mo Xing hastily lowered his head, daring not to utter a word. "Do you know what summons Qingjio possesses? A skeletal general of the undead clan, a projection of a goblin general, and several silver-tier bosses from the beast clan, along with an assortment of ordinary wild monsters. Do you still dare to confront him? I believe that if I take him by surprise and eliminate him up close, it wouldn't matter how many summons he has." Smack! Mo Xing received another slap on the other side of his face. "Do you think so? Do you understand that even if Qingjio dies, he can still control his summons to attack?" Mo Xing was taken aback, clearly unaware of this fact. How many times must I reiterate? Before confronting a formidable enemy, the first task is to comprehend all their strengths and weaknesses. Do not act recklessly. Sometimes, a mere information gap can lead to your demise. If you charge in blindly as you suggested, even if you manage to kill Qingjio and he loses 5 levels, what good does that do? You would be sacrificing yourself, exchanging your life for Qingjio's 5 levels? Do not forget, Yumi is already within his summoning space. Your death is trivial, but allowing others from our family to witness you serving humanity would tarnish the Mo family's reputation. Thud. Mo Xing knelt down, acknowledging, elder brother. Your admonishment is right, it was my error. Enough with the insincere declarations. Go deal with that rat. I will personally handle Lu Yu. Understood. After receiving his orders, Mo Xing hesitated momentarily, still unaware of the rat's location. Mo Liu seemed to perceive his discomfort and casually pointed towards the window. Have you not sensed it yet? Following Mo Liu's gesture, Mo Xing quickly detected a strange aura very close to the castle. Is that an NPC? Humph, consider yourself fortunate. It appears to be around level 40 to 50. You should be able to manage it, right? Do not forget what I just mentioned. Rest assured, elder brother. I shall handle it. I will send the projection to test this individual. Mo Liu nodded. Go ahead. With that, Mo Xing vanished from his spot, employing the steps of the netherworld to race towards the individual. Mo Liu rested his hand against the window, gazing into the distance, pondering the inadequacies of his younger brother. The other prominent families were thriving with talent, while the Mo family found itself in an awkward predicament of stagnation. Were it not for Mo Xing's ability to penetrate the racial barriers, such a crucial task might not have fallen to the Mo family at all. Mo Liu glanced in the direction of Lu Yu. Qingjio, the son of the netherworld, has issued a death order to eliminate you. Yet the abyss has yet to officially descend upon humanity. Killing you is impossible. Instead, we can only confine you here eternally. Are you curious about what is being constructed in this castle? Humph, you shall find out soon enough. What is being built here is your tomb. Chapter 148. Already discovered. Suddenly halting in his tracks, Lu Yu felt the impact of Rumeng Jiangnan colliding into him from behind. What is it, chief? Rumeng Jiangnan inquired, rubbing his head. How many spectral commanders have we encountered? 87. Including the one that just passed by, it should be 88. Lu Yu's expression was grave. 88 commanders, several of whom had brushed past him without detection. How could their spectral senses have failed to perceive his presence? Lu Yu scoffed at the improbability of it. While others may underestimate the potency of spectral perception, he was acutely aware of its true strength. It was one thing for the spectral minions to be oblivious to him, but for nearly 100 commanders to overlook him was utterly absurd. Sighing, he realized that his vigilance had waned due to a lack of recent encounters with the spectral race, a group notoriously cunning in the abyss. The commander that had almost detected him likely had, in fact, already sensed his presence. No wonder he appeared so stiff and affected in his confusion. Jiangnan. We needn't proceed with caution anymore. Huh? Why? Rumeng Jiangnan was perplexed. We have already been discovered. What? When? Judging by the circumstances. It seemed they had been detected the moment they entered. A squad of guards approached Lu Yu's direction, their gaze unwavering, as if they were entirely unaware of his presence. Lu Yu voluntarily disengaged from his stealth, prompting a startled reaction from Rumeng Jiangnan, who followed suit in revealing himself. The sudden turn of events left the commanders taken aback. The singer had instructed them to feign ignorance even upon sensing the two individuals. Yet now, these two had willingly emerged from their stealth, clearly presenting themselves. What should they do? Pretend not to see them and continue forward? However, with the two standing right before them, it felt rather inappropriate to ignore their presence. The guards behind the commander were equally astonished, genuinely failing to perceive Lu Yu's existence. The abrupt emergence of two individuals surprised them, yet without the captain's command, they hesitated to advance. Observing the reaction of these spectral guards only solidified Lu Yu's suspicions. Without hesitation, he summoned the skeletal general and struck at the dazed commander. Since they had been discovered, he would cut a path through them. In an instant, thousands of skeletal soldiers were summoned, and the small squad before Lu Yu was instantly reduced to mere pulp. No longer concealing himself, Lu Yu acknowledged that since the enemy had been watching him, escape was futile. Therefore, he resolved to eliminate more of the spectral race to bolster his own strength. The second transition spectral singer would not be easily dealt with. Lu Yu could now only rely on the strategy of attrition, hoping to wear down his opponents gradually. The sudden appearance of numerous skeleton soldiers immediately drew the attention of the other Phantasm Guard. Their instinct to repel invaders compelled them to fiercely engage in battle with the skeletons. Meanwhile, within the castle, Mo Lu awaited Lu Yu's inevitable approach. Yet he suddenly noticed a multitude of skeleton soldiers surging into view. The projections of the Phantasm race were also charging towards them. This was alarming. Mo Lu sensed impending doom as Lu Yu had brazenly revealed his location to lure the Phantasm Guard. He could not allow him the opportunity to strengthen his forces. Even if Lu Yu managed to conquer all the Phantasm projections within this realm, Mo Lu remained confident in his ability to contain him. However, he was unwilling to take on any additional risk. Now that the skeletons and Phantasm Guard were locked in combat, separating them had become an impossibility. Mo Lu narrowed his eyes. If you seek death, then I shall oblige. With that, he leapt from the castle and raced towards Lu Yu's position. If you would not come to me, then I shall come to you. Lu Yu commanded the skeletons to swiftly encircle and eradicate the advancing phantasm guard. With the healing akin to a dreamlike Jiangnan, he could ensure 0 losses for his skeletons. Once he subdued these thousands of phantasm guards, he would be free to employ his tactics against the phantasm songstress. As he contemplated this, he suddenly spotted a figure rapidly approaching from a distance. This was troubling. His summoned creatures were now restrained, leaving only the boss-level creature at his disposal. However, a level 40 or 50 boss stood no chance against a second transformation phantasm songstress. Chapter 149. Watching from the side. Swift resolution? Unless he could instantaneously eliminate all the phantasm guards, which was an impossibility. If Lu Yu possessed the capability to clear the map in an instant, he would not have exercised such caution in his stealth. The shadow approached him with alarming speed, closing the distance rapidly. He could not afford to engage on 2 fronts. He had to slow the shadow down to buy time for the ongoing battle. He quickly scanned the chaotic battlefield. The skeletons were Lu Yu's primary summoned force, fully engaged in combat. The skeletal cavalry entangled the phantasm sergeant, while the bone skeletons and iron skeletons clashed with the regular phantasm guards, and the copper skeletons provided ranged support. Although the skeletons were of a lower level than the phantasm guard, their numbers vastly outnumbered them. Coupled with the boost from the war horn, they steadily pressured the phantasm guard. Withdrawing a portion would not significantly affect the battle's outcome. Lu Yu swiftly summoned over 1,000 bone skeletons to block the path of the phantasm songstress. However, this would merely buy some time. 1,000 bone skeletons could not hope to hinder a second transformation phantasm songstress. In the realm of Jiangnan, Lu Yu implored, "Please hold on to these items for me." He proceeded to transfer all his valuable materials, equipment, potions, and items from his backpack to Rumeng Jiangnan. Lu Yu was acutely aware that the individual was certainly targeting him. Having yet to complete even a single promotion, facing a second-tier phantom bard would spell certain doom. He had mentally prepared himself for the possibility of being reduced to level 0. Indeed, with his current notoriety, a single death could lead him directly to level 0. Rumeng Jiangnan received the items from Lu Yu, inquiring, "You won't be killed and have your account deleted, will you?" Lu Yu shot her a glance, exclaiming, "Could you not utter such ominous words? Our leader is formidable. Our leader is majestic. Our leader experiences 17 encounters in a single night, each lasting 17 nights. Enough, enough." Lu Yu hastily covered Rumeng Jiangnan's mouth, recognizing the familiarity of her words. "Who taught you that?" "My innocent sister imparted this wisdom to me. She claimed our leader delights in hearing it, and that it excites him every time." Lu Yu retorted, "Innocent youth. Just wait until I return to settle the score with you. From now on, do not take everything to heart." Suddenly, a piercing sound echoed from a distance. An invisible wave sweeping across the battlefield. The system announced, "The Phantom Clan's Mo Lu has activated the skill, Deafening Roar, reducing all attributes of enemy targets by 15. Mo Lu's Deafening Roar was thrice as potent as Xingtian's effect. The attributes of Lu Yu's summoned beasts plummeted, nullifying the enhancements conferred by the war horn. The skeletal warriors, who had previously held an absolute advantage, now found themselves embroiled in a desperate struggle. However, with Rumeng Jiangnan by his side, it was only a matter of time before they would prevail. The pressing concern remained with Mo Lu. 1,000 skeletal warriors had encountered Mo Lu, yet he showed no interest in engaging. He maneuvered through the ranks of skeletal warriors with ghostly agility, dispatching any that he could not evade without hesitation, allowing no opportunity for the skeletal warriors to impede his progress. Within minutes, he had distanced himself from them, remaining in peak condition. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yu recognized that it was now his turn. He could not allow Mo Lu to enter the fray. Only by vanquishing the Phantom Guard could the strategy of sheer numbers be realized. Gripping his staff tightly, he charged toward Mo Lu, feeling a sense of noble sacrifice. It had been days since he had personally fought with fervor. In the past, it may have been a test of skill. This time, it was a genuine battle for survival. Boss-level summoned beasts, such as the Skeleton General and Goblin General, followed closely in Lu Yu's wake. Upon seeing Lu Yu rush toward him, Mo Lu's lips curled into a smirk. "Excellent." With a gentle wave of his staff, both he and Lu Yu vanished from their location. Surrounded on all sides, the signature skill of the Phantom Bard pulled both himself and Lu Yu into a separate realm. An unequivocal 1v1 battlefield. Lu Yu had previously experienced this arena during his duel with Xingtian. The times have indeed changed. Lu Yu had long anticipated that Mo Lu would inevitably find himself in a dire situation. As soon as he felt a lightness in his body, he swiftly brandished his staff, clone technique. A figure, identical to Lu Yu, separated from him, and the two silhouettes immediately dashed in opposite directions. While the main body sprinted, he consumed a red and blue potion, simultaneously casting a healing spell upon himself to restore his condition. After creating sufficient distance, both the clone and the original raised their staffs. Rockfall. A torrent of boulders descended from the void, crashing down upon Mo Lu. He stood still, calmly observing Lu Yu's series of maneuvers, allowing the massive stones to strike him. 121. 134, 109. A sequence of numbers emerged from Mo Lu's form, and he looked at Lu Yu with mild surprise. At your level, you managed to breach my defenses. Quite impressive. Have you concentrated all attributes into your magical power? Lu Yu remained silent, his assaults unceasing, a barrage of damage exploding upon Mo Lu. Yet, this meager damage barely matched Mo Lu's recovery rate. Unperturbed by Lu Yu's lack of response, Mo Lu continued, your mental fortitude surpasses that of my ineffectual brother. If you were a member of the Mo family, how could our lineage not flourish? Why not join our shadow clan and serve the Mo family? Should you choose to come, we might even groom you as a core member of the family. Without pausing in his actions, Lu Yu replied with a smile. The Mo family is not faring well these days, is it? Is your sister about to become someone else's second wife? Mo Lu's expression shifted drastically, and the temperature of the space seemed to plummet. You seek death. He swung his staff, unleashing two shadow orbs that flew towards both Lu Yu's original and his clone. As Lu Yu attempted to evade, countless shadow vines suddenly emerged from beneath him, ensnaring his legs tightly. Shadow bind. In the face of overwhelming power, maneuvering was futile. Lu Yu crossed his arms defensively, fortified closure. Even with a 50 damage reduction, Mo Lu still dealt damage exceeding 10,000. The vast disparity in levels could not be compensated by mere equipment. As the encirclement dissipated, Lu Yu staggered and fell to the ground. The system prompted, you have been slain by Mo Lu, level 5, remaining sin value 100, 000350. Due to sin value impact, your level will continue to drop. The system continued, you have been slain by Mo Lu, level 1, remaining sin value 100, 000250. Due to sin value impact, your level will continue to drop. You have been slain by Mo Lu, level 1, remaining sin value 100, 000150. Due to sin value impact, your level will continue to drop. Your equipment, fortified closure, has been dropped. Your equipment, Sage's crown, has been dropped. System notification, your equipment, Windbind belt, has been dropped. Lu Yu smiled helplessly, feeling as if everything had reset, a scene so familiar. In midair, a pair of jade-like feet rested upon the back of a pink hatchling dragon, which clutched an inebriated old man beneath its claws. Miss, will you not descend to lend a hand? No need to assist. I see he has already been quite thoroughly beaten. Wu Tianju, Sun Hanyu's beautiful eyes flickered. Who told him to forget to come and seek my aid in taming the green-skinned bull? He remains just a player. He cannot truly perish. Chapter 150. He loved her. Lu Yu's soul drifted in the air. The time of his isolation had come to an end, and his body, along with Mo Lu's, returned to their original positions. Mo Lu's rage had not abated. The thought of his sister being forced into marriage was a bitter thorn in his side. From a tender age, Mo Lu had harbored deep affections for his own sister. Her skin was dark and delicate, her figure voluptuous and full, her voice soft and alluring. Everything about her profoundly captivated the stirring heart of Mo Lu. For her sake, he tirelessly leveled up, employing every stratagem to navigate the antiquated minds within their clan. Gradually, he ascended to the core of the family, gaining a measure of influence, becoming one of the youngest leaders in the clan's history, just as he believed he could finally break through the opposition and take the final step with her. The eldest son of the Wu family suddenly beheld her beauty and sought to bring her into the Wu household. Although both the Mo and Wu families belonged to the four great clans, their strengths were worlds apart. The Wu family ranked at the pinnacle of the four clans, wielding considerable power within the realm of the Netherworld. It was said that even the current son of the Netherworld hailed from the Wu lineage. However, the mystery surrounding the son meant that no one could validate this speculation. On the other hand, the Mo family had already begun to wane, merely a dying giant that refused to fall. The opportunity to ally with the eldest son of the Wu family was a coveted prize. The eldest son of the Wu family was destined to be the future patriarch, and her marriage would elevate her to the status of the future matriarch. Despite his anguish and despondency, Mo Lu found solace in the thought of her eventual ascendance to the role of matriarch. As the Mo family rejoiced over this potential union, the Wu family sent word that she would only be a secondary wife. A secondary wife, while it sounded flattering, it was little more than a position slightly above that of a servant, merely to attend to him in bed. The Mo family's jubilation dissipated instantly. However, after deliberation, they resolved to send her forth. The Mo family was nearing the brink of ruin, and offering her to the eldest son of the Wu family in exchange for some equipment and resources seemed a fair trade. Upon hearing this news, Mo Lu was consumed by fury and was determined to confront the eldest son of the Wu family. Yet, before he could even breach the gates of the Wu estate, he was sent back to the spring waters. The Wu family controlled the finest leveling resources, with countless second-tier strongholds within their ranks. Following the tumult instigated by Mo Lu, the eldest son of the Wu family was decidedly displeased, declaring that for her to re-enter the Wu household, Mo Lu himself must personally escort her. The other members of the Mo family had no objections. As long as the equipment and items remained unaltered, it mattered little who delivered her. However, how could Mo Lu endure such humiliation, as he found himself embroiled in a fierce dispute within his clan? The son of the underworld issued a directive to eliminate Qingjiu. Without hesitation, Mo Liu accepted the task. He could neither prevent her from being sent to the Wu family nor bear to witness her plight that day. Thus he made the most cowardly choice. Now, Lu Yu had audaciously torn open his wounds before him, igniting a fury within him that was impossible to contain. Upon returning to his original position, Mo Liu charged at Lu Yu's lifeless body. The skeleton general and goblin general swiftly moved to obstruct him, but before they could advance 2 steps, they were ensnared by the bindings of the underworld, rendered incapable of moving forward. Widow Wang immediately cast an illusion, only for it to shatter the next moment. Casting an illusion before the underworld tribe was far more ludicrous than entering a state of stealth. Li Er rushed forth wielding a large blade, only to be repelled nearly 100 meters by a shadow ball. Shirley howled to the heavens, soul screech. This time, the attack proved effective, plunging Mo Liu into a painful struggle, even causing Lu Yu, now in a spectral state, to writhe in agony. This soul screech was indeed targeted at souls. Mo Liu gritted his teeth against the pain, wielding his staff and chanting fragmented incantations. Beneath Shirley's feet, a vast black hole began to emerge, encompassing the silver-grade boss surrounding her. In the next instant, the black hole erupted violently, dealing 20,000 damage to all units standing atop it. Shirley's health bar was instantly depleted, sending her flying back to Lu Yu's summoning space. The Stag King and 2 Wolf Kings, along with the other silver-grade boss, were transformed into lifeless corpses, vanishing without a trace. Between Mo Liu and Lu Yu, there were no longer any barriers. Mo Liu advanced step by step toward Lu Yu's remains, intending to await Lu Yu's resurrection, only to dismember him thereafter. A player? Players too can experience suffering. Originally, he had planned to seal Lu Yu within a magical array, trapping him without escape. However, the moment Lu Yu dared to mention his woman, he was prepared to endure torturous torment. As the countdown to death concluded, Lu Yu's soul returned to his body. Simultaneously, dark tendrils ensnared Lu Yu tightly, rendering him utterly immobile. I suddenly realized that as a human who had yet to enter the abyss, you seem to possess quite an abundance of knowledge. Even the secrets within our underworld tribe are so well known to you. It indeed surprises me. Lu Yu scoffed. Ha ha, what secrets? Your sister's escapades as a mistress are already common knowledge within the underworld tribe. The Mo family believes that acquiring a few pieces of equipment and items will lead to great fortune. Yet they remain oblivious to the fact that their dignity has long been tarnished. You must be the one who cherishes her deeply, watching your beloved being taken away. Yet instead of fiercely fighting for her, you retreat like a coward. It is no wonder that the Mo family is in decline. Silence. Mo Liu's eyes turned crimson as she swiftly silenced Lu Yu with vines. Since you are so knowledgeable about our Netherworld clan, you must be aware of our signature skill, the Devouring Swarm. Allow me to teach you a lesson today. As Mo Liu spoke, she prepared to swing her staff. At that moment, a deep blue flame erupted from above, drawing a fiery line between Lu Yu and Mo Liu, separating them. My disciple, it is not up to you, a mere insignificant being, to teach him. A pink young dragon descended gracefully, with Sun Hanyu standing protectively in front of Lu Yu. My dear disciple, are you unharmed? Lu Yu chuckled. I'm fine. Wu Tianzhu widened his eyes. Miss, you weren't saying that just a moment ago in the sky. Chapter 151. The power of Sun Hanyu. Mo Liu retracted her staff and regarded Sun Hanyu, who had descended from the heavens. She recognized that this woman, like herself, had already completed her second transformation, especially noting the young dragon at her feet. A dragon clan. This realization instantly heightened Mo Liu's vigilance, erasing any hint of complacency. Who are you? I am your grandmother. With a fierce shout from Sun Hanyu, the young dragon unleashed another blast of flames. Mo Liu hurriedly waved her staff, conjuring an oval gray shield to block the dragon's breath. Under the searing heat of the flames, the shield's durability plummeted, dwindling to a mere thin layer in mere seconds. With a crack, the shield shattered, and the dragon's fire surged toward Mo Liu. She swiftly turned and rolled to evade the flames, then retaliated by launching several shadow orbs towards Sun Hanyu's face. Facing the sudden onslaught of shadow orbs, Sun Hanyu made no attempt to evade. The bat perched on her shoulder suddenly opened its mouth wide. If Lu Yu had not witnessed it with his own eyes, he would hardly have believed that a bat the size of a fist could open its mouth to such an extent. All the shadow orbs were consumed by the bat's maw. The pink bat closed its mouth, returning to its original size, and nonchalantly expelled a black smoke ring, with its health bar barely affected. Subsequently, a series of pea-sized shadow orbs were expelled from its mouth, shooting towards Mo Liu like bullets. Mo Liu remained in motion, hastily dodging, and as she moved, she conjured dozens of shadowy clones. Each of these clones raised their staffs, creating a myriad of black holes that filled the ground beneath Sun Hanyu. Sun Hanyu lightly stomped her foot, and a pink unicorn appeared before her. With the unicorn's emergence, the black holes beneath her began to dissolve slowly, ultimately vanishing completely. Lu Yu had long since freed himself from his restraints and watched in silent astonishment. He soon realized the disparity between himself and Sun Hanyu. Although both were summoners, and he even had the prefix Abyss before his title, The difference became immediately apparent when compared to Sun Hanyu's summoned beasts. Despite the abundance of Lu Yu's summoned creatures, they were rather chaotic and possessed rather ordinary skills. In stark contrast, Sun Hanyu had fewer summoned beasts, yet each one was imbued with practical abilities, effortlessly countering various attacks. It was a matter of evasion rather than merely enduring damage. Sun Hanyu's summoned creatures, aside from their uniform pink hue, exhibited remarkable skills, bats capable of absorbing attacks and retaliating, and a unicorn that purifies darkness. The pink young dragon was particularly noteworthy. In his previous life, Lu Yu had only heard tales of dragons, but had never encountered one. Reflecting on Sherry, who had also caught Sun Hanyu's eye, her soul scream was an indiscriminate attack that was unaffected by attribute disparities and often yielded surprising results. The only effective move Lu Yu had managed against Moru was Sherry's soul scream. Considering his current predicament, even if all his few boss-level summoned beasts reached level 80, he would not face Moru with the same ease as Sun Hanyu did. Nevertheless, Lu Yu did not perceive this as a setback. He and Sun Hanyu had embarked on distinctly different paths. Sun Hanyu had a total of 12 summoned beasts, which would amount to a maximum of 12 second transformation bosses. However, by the time he reached the second transformation, he could potentially have 120 or even 1,200 second transformation bosses. If finesse was not an option, brute force would suffice. One could wield a sword for each of the 120 second transformation bosses, and they could collectively vanquish Moru, a member of the Nether race. In just a short span, Sun Hanyu, accompanied by 3 summoned beasts, had already reduced Moru's health by a third. Meanwhile, Sun Hanyu remained unscathed and even found time to assist the skeletal warriors in the distance. How could there be such a vast difference, even among level 80 second transformation beings? Wu Tianju, sipping his drink, applauded. However, Lu Yu's mood was heavy. The title of the top Nether singer in one-on-one combat was not merely a boast. The skills of this profession had not even been fully utilized by Moru due to the ongoing assault by Sun Hanyu. Calculating the time, the skill surrounded on all sides should soon be ready. The next moment, Moru flashed a sinister smile and waved his staff, surrounded on all sides. Both individuals vanished from their locations simultaneously. Indeed, this was a precarious situation. As a summoner, Sun Hanyu could not summon her beasts to fight in the dual space. She was about to face significant trouble. Wu Tianju, observing the worried Lu Yu, took a sip of his drink and reassured him, "Do not fret, young lady. With your teacher present, you shall remain safe." "My teacher?" Lu Yu looked bewildered, then suddenly realized. "Oh, you are also my mentor." Wu Tianju replied, "You rascal. You deserve to be taken down." Lu Yu, "Very well, mutual harm it is. During this time, I have crafted a set of 7 Earth-grade pieces for the young lady, primarily enhancing her defenses, not to mention a mere underworld bard. Even if the son of the underworld were to appear, he wouldn't be able to slay the young lady in a short span." Lu Yu glanced at Wu Tianju. "You are aware of the son of the underworld. Currently, the son of the underworld has reached at least level 120 with 3 advancements, and a set of Earth-grade armor would be insufficient to withstand that. My side occupation as a mentor is, as always, filled with nonsensical chatter. However, an Earth-grade set should be able to endure the attacks of an 80-level underworld bard for a few minutes without significant issues." With that thought, Lu Yu shifted his focus to the battlefield of the skeleton soldiers. The clash here was intense, with skeleton soldiers and the underworld guard entangled in fierce combat. Thanks to Ru Meng Jiang Nan's healing abilities, not a single skeleton soldier had fallen, while the numbers of the underworld guards continued to dwindle. The advantage was gradually returning. Lu Yu finally found the opportunity to summon all the underworld guards that had just entered the summoning space. The skeleton general and goblin general were also dispatched by Lu Yu. The sudden arrival of the 2 generals along with several hundred underworld guards shifted the tide of battle dramatically. The pressure on Ru Meng Jiang Nan diminished instantly, and after casting another healing elixir, she skipped over to Lu Yu. "Boss, was that big sister just now your girlfriend? She is so beautiful. She is my mentor." "Oh, I see. She's your mentor. Do you think your girlfriend would feel jealous seeing such a lovely mentor?" Lu Yu replied, "Let us not talk about girlfriends. I do not have one." "Huh, the boss is so formidable and yet has no girlfriend? Doesn't he that make you feel lonely? With Chunju around, it seems I have never truly felt loneliness. Besides, I'm currently preoccupied with battling monsters and leveling up in the abyss. There's no time to ponder such matters. I have friends with me, so loneliness is not an issue." Upon hearing this, Ru Meng Jiang Nan looked at Lu Yu curiously. "Boss, you're not, are you?" Lu Yu responded. Chapter 152, interrupted. "What are you a little girl thinking about all day?" Lu Yu reached out and gently tapped the top of Ru Meng Jiang Nan's head. She quickly covered her head. "I was just asking." Lu Yu, uninterested in furthering the conversation, turned his attention back to the spot where Sun Hanyu had disappeared. The effects of the encircled skill should be fading soon. Moments later, 2 figures reappeared at the original location. Molv appeared nearly unchanged in status, yet his expression was far from pleasant. Sun Hanyu's chest heaved as she gasped for breath. Her armor damaged in several places, revealing glimpses of her fair skin. Her health was reduced to merely 1/3. Ru Meng Jiang Nan and Lu Yu promptly cast their healing spells, restoring Sun Hanyu to full health. "Master, Why did you seem less disheveled after your recent emergence? Lu Yu replied, did you not notice my level has been reset to 0? I may appear less distressed, but that is merely because I perished within. Lu Yu chose to momentarily disregard Ru Meng Jiangnan, pondering how such a fine young lady could speak so thoughtlessly. Mo Yu's mood was considerably grim, given his profession. He was unperturbed by an ordinary second transition opponent. Yet, Sun Hanyu was a summoner, seemingly a solitary figure, but in reality accompanied by a multitude. He initially intended to eliminate Sun Hanyu within the arena. Once she fell, the others, including the level 80 Wu Tianju, would pose no threat. However, he was taken aback when, after losing her summoned beasts, a summoner should have been easily dispatched, yet Sun Hanyu managed to endure for a full minute, even exchanging blows with Mo Yu. When the tumultuous battle concluded and the duel arena vanished, Sun Hanyu's health had not plummeted. She was at 1/3 vitality, not nearly dead, far from it. This indicated that it was not merely Mo Yu's misfortune, but rather that he was genuinely incapable of neutralizing her within that span. Compounding his predicament was the presence of a well-equipped healer on Lu Yu's side, who could swiftly restore Sun Hanyu's health. Upon exiting the duel arena, Mo Yu's concerns shifted from defeating Sun Hanyu to ensuring his own survival, perhaps due to the frustration endured within the summoning domain. Sun Hanyu wasted no time and summoned a translucent, pink creature. Was that a slime? Lu Yu gazed at the enormous slime, comparable in size to a house, momentarily speechless. As soon as the slime appeared, it lunged toward Mo Yu. He hastily retreated, only to find his escape obstructed by a wall of dragon flames. These flames were no ordinary fire. Their damage was formidable and accompanied by a burning effect. For a fragile mage like Mo Yu, sustaining a hit from dragon flames, especially with his health already below half, would be devastating. With no retreat remaining, Mo Yu steeled himself to withstand the slime's assault. Yet, contrary to his expectations, the anticipated damage never materialized. Instead, he felt a sudden weakness as an invisible force enveloped him, rendering him immobile. Sun Hanyu finally smiled. You seem to enjoy yourself while you trapped me and prevented me from meeting my companions. Now, let you taste the flavor of confinement. Mo Yu struggled desperately within the slime's form, yet the more he exerted himself, the heavier he felt. Furthermore, the slime's corrosive acid relentlessly eroded his health, causing him to bleed continuously. He realized he needed to devise an escape plan swiftly. The specter of death loomed over him. He forced himself to take a step forward and activated his ghostly shadow step, but in the next moment, he became visible once more. The shadow step is not a form of teleportation. The body cannot directly leap forth. With just a single step taken, one becomes ensnared once more. Sun Hanyu observed the struggles of Mo Lu within the confines, initially taken aback, followed swiftly by a burgeoning smile. Lu Yu inquired, Mentor, why did you not summon your slime sooner to ensnare him? Sun Hanyu shrugged. Who could have known that he, a second-tier mage, would lack even a teleportation skill? A valid point indeed. Lu Yu was aware that the profession of the underworld bard lacked teleportation abilities. However, such skills could be acquired through skill books. Teleportation is a crucial survival skill for fragile professions, and, after the first tier, all mages can learn it. Even those few professions without this skill would seek ways to obtain a similar skill book. It was surprising that this new generation leader of the Mo family had not a single teleportation skill. This only underscored the evident decline of the Mo family. In fact, within the resources exchanged from the Wu family, there were several teleportation skill books available. Yet Mo Lu stubbornly refused to utilize anything from the Wu family. Minutes passed, and Mo Lu was left with a sliver of health. He had exhausted all his skills but remained unable to escape the slime's encroachment. The hastily conjured shield barely held on. With great effort, he wielded his staff once more, casting Surrounded. This was his final opportunity. Sun Hanyu vanished from sight again. Yet this time, Lu Yu felt no trepidation. Given Mo Lu's current state, even with his summoned beast, he could turn the tables on him, let alone his mentor. Moreover, as long as the slime remained stationary, once Mo Lu emerged, he would find himself back in the same predicament, within the slime's grasp. True to expectation. When the minute elapsed, Mo Lu was once again flung back into the slime. He was left with but a thread of health, while Sun Hanyu still retained more than half of hers. To think he would attempt the same set of skills against me twice. Does he truly believe I am easily trifled with? Lu Meng Jiangnan duly restored Sun Hanyu's health. It was then that Sun Hanyu finally noticed the young girl. She turned to Lu Yu, my dear disciple, is this your girlfriend? So small? Lu Yu shook his head. Why must she always bring up the subject of girlfriends? Lu Meng Jiangnan playfully leaned forward. Who is small? Sun Hanyu chuckled, refusing to be outdone, and straightened her posture. Well, perhaps we are of equal stature. Lu Yu stole a glance before hastily diverting his gaze back to Mo Lu, only to find him on the brink of death, his health bar nearly invisible. WOC. This is bad. Lu Yu quickly turned to Sun Hanyu, but before he could utter a word, she had already withdrawn the slime. I know. I've left him for you. Hee. Thank you, Mentor. Lu Yu spoke, raising his staff. Yet before he could unleash the rockfall spell, a golden beam of light pierced through the distance. The light penetrated Mo Lu's skull, extinguishing the last vestige of his life. Chapter 153. A reunion with Meng Shui Rong. Before Lu Yu could react, a maniacal laughter echoed from afar. Ha! I have slain a second transformation. The abyss shall not consume me now. This voice was eerily familiar. Lu Yu felt as though he had heard it before, but could not immediately recall where. Sun Hanyu had already teleported forward, seizing the collar of the man responsible. A figure clad in a splendid golden robe was yanked from the underbrush. The man's health bar was barely half full, and 3 characters floated above his head, Meng Shui Rong. In that moment, realization dawned on Lu Yu. No wonder that voice sounded so familiar. It belonged to this individual. Previously, in the depths of the general's tomb, there had been a mad merchant who had witnessed the descent of the abyss and was frantically seeking ways to survive. To procure a golden mask from his treasure trove, Lu Yu had concocted a story, telling him that by slaying a second transformation being, he could survive the abyss's arrival. Little did he expect that fate would intertwine. And just as Lu Yu was about to claim his first second transformation summoned beast, Meng Shui Rong had snatched it away. A mixture of amusement and irritation surged within Lu Yu, unaware of the prior events. Sun Hanyu was incensed at the sight of a second transformation summoned beast being usurped by a level 50 individual. The pink young dragon sensed its master's fury, lifting Meng Shui Rong into the air with a claw, flames swirling in its maw. It awaited only a command from Sun Hanyu to reduce him to ashes. At this moment, Meng Shui Rong began to regain his composure, glancing at the several level 80 summoned beasts surrounding him, fear creeping into his heart. He had slain Mo Lu, ensuring his survival in the abyss, but offending this woman before him seemed to threaten his very existence. Spare me, noble warrior. I did not intend to steal your boss. Steal the boss? Is this merely about taking a boss? You have caused Lu Yu to lose a second transformation summoned beast, the very best among them. Seeking mercy now was far too late. Sun Hanyu's voice was icy as she prepared to command the young dragon to incinerate Meng Shui Rong. Panic washed over him, and he hurriedly pleaded, Noble warrior, I can pay for my life. How much do you desire? I have gold. At the mention of gold, Sun Hanyu's expression softened slightly. Seizing the moment, Meng Shui Rong continued, I possess a fortune. 10 million. Would 10 million gold suffice? 10 million. Sun Hanyu's eyes brightened at the prospect. That was equivalent to a year's income for the gathering of heroes. She let out a cold snort. A mere 10 million. And you think you can secure your life? Hand over all the gold coins on your person. Very well, I will give them to you. Just let me go. Sun Hanyu was about to acquiesce when Lu Yu interjected, Minter, kill him. All the money on him will belong to you. Sun Hanyu paused, realizing the logic in his words, and nodded. Indeed. Long Yin began to brew once more. Meng Shuerong's eyes widened in shock upon seeing Lu Yu. It's you? Indeed. It is I. Long time no see. I still remember the last time we met. You took the life of my brother. Meng Shuerong's face turned ashen. Fortune has turned. Previously, it was Meng Shuesheng who oppressed Lu Yu, but this time, the tables had entirely turned. Lu Yu gazed at Meng Shuerong with a half-smile, filled with amusement. Meng Shuerong noticed Lu Yu's grin and quickly comprehended the situation. Aside from gold coins, I have other treasures to offer. Sun Hanyu rolled her eyes. Once you're dead, all your belongings will be mine. Whether you present them or not is irrelevant. Meng Shuerong shook his head. There is one item that, without my consent, will not belong to you after my demise. It will randomly appear in some corner of the world. Sun Hanyu scoffed. Do you take me for a child? I speak the truth. If you don't believe me, you may inquire of your young boyfriend. He should be quite knowledgeable about that item. Lu Yu? Young boyfriend, is he referring to me? I merely have fair skin and a handsome appearance. I am far from a pretty boy. Ru Ming Jiangnan stifled a laugh beside them, and Lu Yu playfully tapped her on the head. Sun Hanyu, uninterested in further explanations, turned to Lu Yu. He cleared his throat and remarked, Indeed, it is the golden treasury. I wonder if the minter has heard of it. Sun Hanyu shook her head in confusion as Lu Yu produced a golden ring and a golden mask, showcasing them to her. Upon seeing them, Sun Hanyu's face lit up with astonishment. Although these items do not enhance attributes, they possess remarkable effects, and when utilized properly, they rival some exquisite equipment. All of these were retrieved from that golden treasury. Sun Hanyu nodded and addressed Meng Shuerong. Hand over all your gold coins and the golden treasury, and I shall grant you a chance at life. Agreed, but you must first release me before I comply. Sun Hanyu shook her head. If I release you, what then? I noticed you possess a formidable teleportation skill. After Meng Shuerong killed Mo Lu, he intended to teleport away, believing others were powerless against this evil map. However, Meng Shuerong had the freedom to come and go as he pleased. Yet the cast time of the teleportation skill was too lengthy. Before he could complete the skill, Sun Hanyu had already seized him. If you do not release me first, then just kill me. I will not surrender the golden treasury to you. Do you truly think I would hesitate? As Sun Hanyu spoke, she was about to take action, for she despised being threatened. Lu Yu hurriedly intervened, saying, You may take action, but there are 2 matters you must agree to first. What matters? Given the chance to survive, Meng Shuerong was naturally reluctant to court death. First, tell me who you just fought against, and why your health bar is not even half depleted. Well, there was a member of the underworld clan named Mo Sheng, who attempted to kill me, but he was utterly incompetent and I managed to turn the tables on him. A named individual indicates he is not a mere wild creature. Lu Yu noted. The second matter is that you need to establish a connection. As Lu Yu spoke, he donned a golden ring and sent a connection request to Meng Shui-Rong. Provided Meng Shui-Rong consented, Lu Yu would be able to monitor his every move for the next 24 hours, leaving him no chance to escape. You, what do you mean by this? Meng Shui-Rong exclaimed in alarm. It is merely a precaution against any potential deceit, Lu Yu replied, shrugging his shoulders. If you agree, we shall release you, otherwise, we might as well abandon the golden treasury. Meng Shui-Rong gritted his teeth. Fine. The system prompted a successful connection. Lu Yu exchanged a glance with Sun Hanyu, who commanded the young dragon to release Meng Shui-Rong. Once his feet touched the ground, Meng Shui-Rong quickly retreated, putting distance between himself and Sun Hanyu. Lu Yu waved the ring in his hand, signaling Meng Shui-Rong not to attempt any tricks. With a determined bite of his teeth, Meng Shui-Rong threw out a treasure chest along with a small mountain of gold coins. Sun Hanyu swiftly gathered all the items into her embrace. The mountain of gold and the chest vanished, along with Meng Shui-Rong himself. Sun Hanyu scoffed. That fellow certainly knows how to make a hasty exit. Chapter 154. The projection. Lu Yu regarded Sun Hanyu and said, Minter, I can also make use of that golden treasury. Oh, you desire it? Lu Yu nodded. Then let us discuss the matter of the green-skinned cattle. I previously mentioned that you should seek me out within a week. Minter, I believe it is best if the golden treasury is kept for you. Sun Hanyu smiled with pride. By the way, how do we exit this map? That Mo Lu did not seem to drop any map scrolls or the like. Lu Yu glanced at the spot where Mo Lu had perished. Its corpse had already returned to the Underworld Clan Spring, leaving the area empty. Wait, when Mo Lu died, it dropped 2 pieces of equipment. How could they have vanished so quickly? Sun Hanyu, equally puzzled, had noticed Mo Lu's drops, but was too preoccupied with Meng Shui-Rong to pay attention to where they had gone. Could Meng Shui-Rong have taken them? Lu Yu shook his head. He was too busy fleeing for his life to have time for theft. Meng Shui-Rong is not the type to engage in such behavior. Lu Yu turned his gaze towards Wu Tianzhu, who was sulking in the distance, drinking quietly. Minter, don't stay so far away. Come over and have a chat. Wu Tianzhu continued to drink, feigning ignorance. Sun Hanyu suddenly comprehended the situation. The pink young dragon soared through the air, delivering a resounding slap that sent the old man crashing down before her. Produce the items. Burp. Wu Tianzhu belched, exclaiming, What items? Dear miss, I swear I shall never dare again. Please, let me down. The pink dragon gripped Wu Tianzhu's leg, swinging him back and forth in midair, nearly turning him into a whirlwind. Despite hearing Wu Tianzhu's cries, Sun Hanyu remained resolute, insisting, Produce the items. Please, stop. My old bones can't take it. You refuse to comply, do you? Then hand them over. With Wu Tianzhu's body swaying, 2 pieces of equipment were flung out, an 80-level dark gold staff and a 75-level golden belt. Though the levels were impressive, the quality was lacking, particularly with the golden belt. Lu Yu, currently level 35, already possessed half of his gear as golden items. MOLV, at level 80, was still utilizing golden equipment, highlighting his misfortune. In the short term, Lu Yu had no use for these items, and selling them would prove futile. The mainstream players hovered around level 25, who would be inclined to purchase equipment requiring levels in the 70s or 80s. Lu Yu glanced at Sun Hanyu, who pursed her lips, clad in her Earth-grade gear. She clearly found these 2 items beneath her. Suddenly, the suspended Wu Tianzhu interjected, I knew you wouldn't have any use for them, which is precisely why I picked them up myself. You still dare to argue? Sun Hanyu retorted, demanding the young dragon to increase its grip. Wu Tianzhu hastily protested, Miss, I speak the truth. I will soon ascend to the celestial tier as a blacksmith. At that point, I will acquire the ability to reverse dismantle equipment, breaking down formed items into their corresponding ores, which can then be reforged. Hearing Wu Tianzhu's claims, Sun Hanyu commanded the young dragon to cease its actions. You are advancing to the celestial tier so soon? Wu Tianzhu beamed with pride, of course. My blacksmithing skills possess the power to harness the very forces of nature. Indeed, when it came to blacksmithing, Wu Tianzhu was quite accomplished. Lu Yu returned the 2 pieces of equipment to Wu Tianzhu, recognizing that even trifles take up space in one's inventory. Moreover, despite everything, Wu Tianzhu remained Lu Yu's mentor, deserving a modicum of respect. Wu Tianzhu glanced at Sun Hanyu, noting her silence, before stowing the items away once more. Wait, Sun Hanyu suddenly recalled something. Why were there only the items? What about the map? Wu Tianzhu shuddered in fright. Map? What map? Did you not see the map when you secretly picked up MOLV's dropped items? Wu Tianzhu shook his head. I did not. Sun Hanyu's expression turned icy. Oh, so you dare to deceive me? The boss of the evil map must have dropped the corresponding map upon defeat. You act as if you are unaware. Is there something else you have yet to reveal? Wu Tianzhu wore an expression of innocence, exclaiming, Miss, I truly have nothing left. He swore that he had only seen 2 pieces of equipment on the ground moments ago, which he discreetly pocketed while everyone's attention was focused on Meng Shui-Rong. To his dismay, he had just been discovered. As for the map, he was utterly oblivious. You still refuse to confess. Prepare for a beating, Sun Hanyu declared, ready to strike. Lu Yu quickly intervened. Minter, The boss in this map should be a projection. The one we just defeated, Mo Lu, was not a mere projection. Indeed, Lu Yu continued, the Mo Lu we encountered was a genuine member of the abyssal race. The monsters in the evil map should indeed be projections. But where is the true boss? He gazed towards the distant castle, if I'm not mistaken. The boss should be inside that castle. Then let us proceed, Sun Hanyu affirmed. The battle between the skeleton soldiers and the abyssal guards had already concluded. Lu Yu's skeleton soldiers remained unscathed, and he had summoned an additional 2,000 abyssal guardians. Sun Hanyu mounted the juvenile dragon, which, being still immature, could only carry her alone. Lu Yu summoned 3 centaurs, each bearing him, Ru Ming Jiangnan, and Wu Tianzhu, as they hastened towards the castle. Leader, what do you mean by projection? Ru Ming Jiangnan inquired with curiosity. Well, Lu Yu faltered, unsure of how to respond. Having momentarily forgotten that he was in the company of someone entirely unacquainted with the abyss, he resorted to his usual tactic. This pertains to the next version of the game. You will understand when the time comes. Upon hearing this, Ru Ming Jiangnan grew even more intrigued. Leader, how do you acquire information about the next version? Please share with me where you learned this. I wish to know. You will truly understand the moment you experience death yourself, he replied. Of course, that is assuming you can be reborn. This is classified information. I will divulge it once you accumulate 1 million contribution points. 1 million contribution points. Ru Ming Jiangnan silently recorded this figure. Chapter 155. The cage. The minions within this malevolent map had all been gathered into Lu Yu's summoning space. Any abyssal servants they encountered were swiftly dispatched. Thus, the trio rode their centaurs with remarkable ease. Upon reaching the base of the castle, Sun Hanyu was already awaiting them in the air. The abyssal servants that had been working there were effortlessly dealt with by her summoned beasts. The outer perimeter of the castle still bore remnants of unextinguished dragon flames. However, as Lu Yu and the others had yet to arrive, Sun Hanyu refrained from entering alone. Lu Yu was exceedingly curious about what construction was underway. The presence of a second transformation abyssal entity supervising the work indicated the significance the abyssal race placed on this endeavor. The castle's grand entrance swung open, and Lu Yu, Dream Jiangnan, and Wu Tianzhu stepped inside. As they crossed the threshold, the massive door slammed shut behind them, leaving Lu Yu momentarily speechless at the sight before him. The castle's interior had been nearly stripped bare. All superfluous decorations and structures had been removed, leaving only essential load-bearing columns and a staircase leading to higher levels. The inner walls of the castle had been reinforced with steel and stone, a task undertaken by the shadow servants to fortify the entire edifice. However, it was evident that the construction had only recently commenced, with only one wall completed, while the rest remained unchanged. If this trend continued, once all walls were fortified, the castle would inevitably transform into a prison. A prison? Was it meant to confine some important figure? Before Lu Yu could ponder further, a dark silhouette emerged upon the second-level platform. Clapping his hands and laughing, he declared, Qingjiu, I have awaited your arrival for quite some time. Lu Yu looked up to see a figure identical to Mo Lu. The Lord of the Shadow Realm, Shadow Fortress Master, Diamond Level Boss, Level 80 Description, the second son of the Mo family, Master of the Shadow Fortress, has been specifically waiting here for a player named Qingjiu due to a particular task. This was indeed a projection of Mo Lu, referred to here as the Shadow Fortress Master. Such a title was akin to that of the Skeleton General, merely a designation without relevance to profession. Compared to his true form, this Shadow Fortress Master exuded a slightly less somber aura and a more arrogant demeanor, perhaps due to the projection's lack of emotional experiences. Lu Yu observed this foe Mo Lu with interest, surprised that it was waiting specifically for him. If this had occurred 2 hours prior, Lu Yu would have surely fled at the sight of it, facing a level 80 opponent at his own level 35, unless the latter had ascended through secondary skills. It would have been a futile endeavor. Yet now, with Sun Hanyu at his side, Lu Yu felt emboldened. How delightful that you awaited me. Obediently step into your master's summoned realm. In response to Lu Yu's deliberate provocation, the Shadow Fortress Master displayed no sign of anger, instead regarding Lu Yu with a gaze that suggested he was merely an ignorant insect. Look around you. All of this has been prepared for you. It is unfortunate that it is not yet completed, and you have arrived prematurely. Prepared for me? Lu Yu was taken aback, as he had merely speculated that such a grand prison would be intended for a formidable individual. Little did he know that the formidable person was, in fact, himself. Was it truly necessary for the Shadow Clan to go to such lengths for a lowly, untransformed Karami? The Shadow Fortress Master regarded Lu Yu as a mere prey, showing no urgency to attack, and slowly descended the steps. Orders have been given to lure you here for your demise. However, you are a player and cannot be killed, which is why I devised this plan. Here, I shall construct a cage for you. Your tomb. Ha ha ha. Once completed, it shall contain only you and me. I may not be able to slay you, but I can ensure you never escape. With each resurrection, I shall take your life anew, until the day the abyss descends. During this time, you shall experience myriad forms of death. How does that strike you? Are you satisfied? The Lord of the Nether laughed heartily, although he had already noticed the presence of Ru Ming Jiangnan and Wu Tianzhu beside Lu Yu. Yet, A level 25 priest in a secondary profession posed no threat to the outcome. A shiver of fear coursed through Lu Yu. Had he charged in with Rumeng Jiangnan just now, the situation might have turned dire. Nevertheless, Lu Yu had since adopted a calm demeanor. Having been reduced to level 0, what more could he do but remain composed? Observing Lu Yu's nonchalant expression, the Lord of the Nether appeared somewhat taken aback. Do you not comprehend your current predicament? Or do you believe you can escape my grasp? Lu Yu shook his head. I am fully aware of my circumstances, and I possess no confidence in escaping. I simply do not need to flee at this moment. No sooner had Lu Yu spoken than a dragon's roar echoed from the castle's pinnacle. Immediately thereafter, searing dragon flames melted the roof. And Sun Hanyu charged into the castle atop a juvenile dragon. The Lord of the Nether was taken aback. TSK, TSK, TSK. Lu Yu clicked his tongue. As a member of the Nether race, your perception of the Nether realm is remarkably poor. Upon witnessing Sun Hanyu's entrance, the Lord of the Nether swiftly concealed his smug demeanor, adopting a grave expression. The situation had taken an unexpected turn. Was it not said that only a couple of players in their 20s or 30s would arrive? Why then, had an 80-level human NPC suddenly appeared? If the presence of Rumeng Jiangnan and Wu Tianzhu had not overly surprised the Lord of the Nether, Sun Hanyu's descent struck him like a thunderbolt. Furthermore, his own entity had ceased to relay information since earlier. Under normal circumstances, this would have been inconsequential. A projection and a corporeal form are inherently distinct entities. Yet, Sun Hanyu's appearance led the Lord of the Nether to ponder further. His eyes narrowed. This summoner must be dealt with promptly to avoid further complications. The Lord of the Nether ceased to engage Lu Yu in further discourse. Waving his staff as he and Sun Hanyu vanished from sight, Lu Yu remained unperturbed, casually surveying his surroundings while silently counting down in his mind. Once the 90 seconds elapsed, the two figures returned to their respective positions. Sun Hanyu was left with less than half health, while the Lord of the Nether's vitality had decreased by 10. It appeared that the Lord of the Nether had emerged victorious. Yet, everyone understood that as long as Sun Hanyu was not slain amidst the encirclement, the Lord of the Nether had already been sentenced to death. In a dreamlike moment, Jiangsu effortlessly utilized two skills to restore Sun Hanyu's health. Aware of Morlu's weaknesses, Sun Hanyu summoned a pink slime. Although this tactic seemed simplistic against a stationary mage, it proved remarkably effective. The Lord of the Underworld appeared to sense the impending danger, desperately evading the slime's grasp. Yet, Sun Hanyu consistently orchestrated the synergy between her summoned creatures, cornering the Lord of the Underworld into a dire choice between the dragon flame and the slime. Chapter 156. Heartbreak. The Lord of the Underworld did not follow Morlu's path. Unable to comprehend the slime's characteristics, he refrained from stepping into the unknown, opting instead to endure the dragon flame head-on. However, the dragon flame was not so easily withstood. It stripped away a quarter of his life in a single blow. Moreover, the burning effect of the flame incessantly eroded Morlu's vitality. After 2 successive strikes, the Lord of the Underworld was driven to collide with the inner turmoil. Excellent. The outcome was now sealed. Sun Hanyu ceased her actions, observing the Lord of the Underworld trapped within the slime. The Lord of the Underworld, sensing her demeanor, felt an ominous turn of fate. Yet, it was too late for him to escape. The slime's corrosive essence relentlessly consumed his life force, and within minutes, his health bar dwindled to nothing. Lu Yu watched Sun Hanyu, who proudly lifted her chin. I know, I will certainly save some for you. As she spoke, the slime expelled the barely surviving Lord of the Underworld. Freed from captivity, the Lord of the Underworld immediately employed the Shadow Step in a frantic bid for survival. However, Lu Yu had long been prepared. The Goblin General, a master of cunning, seized the half-ethereal Lord of the Underworld. Sherry followed suit with a soul scream, causing everyone present to cover their ears and drop to the ground, Sun Hanyu included. In the distance, skeletal archers unleashed a volley of arrows, transforming the Lord of the Underworld into a mere sieve. The last remnants of his health evaporated, and he ascended as a beam of light into Lu Yu's summoning space. Only then did the soul scream cease. Sun Hanyu rose from the ground, vigorously shaking her head, and raised her staff to strike Lu Yu on the head. This blow is fierce enough to deal a critical hit. Why did you suddenly make me use the soul scream? You nearly shocked me to death. Lu Yu rubbed his head, casting a restoration spell upon himself. He dared not retaliate against his mentor before his second-class advancement. I was merely concerned it might escape. With me here, where could it possibly flee? I see you just wanted to flaunt the mermaid's skill in front of me and enjoy my embarrassment. Coughing, Lu Yu, caught in his own thoughts, quickly shifted the topic. Mentor, let us first see what loot he dropped. As he spoke, he approached the spot where the Lord of the Underworld had fallen, collecting the items scattered upon the ground, an equipment piece, a black token, and a map. The face was indeed dark. A formidable level 80 second transformation boss had yielded only 3 items. Among them was a blood-red ring. Lu Yu swiftly examined the details of the equipment. Qingsheng. Artifact. Level. 60 health. 1 magic power. 1 effect. Bound by emotion. Capable of devouring attributes and effects of other equipment of the same type, with a chance to enhance the effects. Description. A token of love prepared in advance, yet destined to remain and used forever. As Lu Yu scrutinized the attributes of Qingsong from top to bottom, his emotions mirrored the tumultuous waves of the sea. At first glance, it was an artifact. What a marvel! This projection of Morlu was far more generous than the original. But then, the fields displaying health, 1, and magic power, 1 came into view, leaving Lu Yu speechless. How could such attributes qualify as an artifact? Was the abyss mocking him? Continuing to examine, he noticed the effect labeled Bound by Emotion. It could devour equipment of the same type and enhance their effects. The same type referred to ring-type equipment. How astonishing! With such an effect, Lu Yu could potentially forge an invincible item, and in the future, by merely wearing this single ring, he could sweep through the entirety of the abyss. Was it not a tad unjust for such an effect to be rated as an artifact? It deserved the classification of a celestial item at the very least. Glancing into his backpack, Lu Yu found only 2 rings within, a golden ring and the beginner villages by Luo ring, which had dropped from the Blackwater giant python. Due to its continuous health deduction effect, he had been unable to sell it, and it lay forgotten in the corner of his backpack, gathering dust. Reluctant to use the golden ring for experimentation, he decided to let Qingsong sample the Bai Luo ring first. Lu Yu took out the Bai Luo ring and brought it close to Qingsong. A system prompt swiftly appeared. System prompt. Detected. Bai Luo ring. Tier does not exceed that of the artifact. Would you like to devour it? From this prompt, it was clear that the tier of the devoured equipment could not surpass that of Qingsong. Lu Yu clicked yes. The Bai Luo ring flew from his hand and merged into his arm. System prompt. Your equipment, Qingsong, has devoured Bai Luo ring. Its effects and attributes have changed. Remaining devourable quantity, 910 m. There is a limit on the number of items that can be devoured? Why was this not mentioned earlier? Lu Yu immediately regretted his decision. Yet, it was too late for remorse. The attributes of Qingsong had already transformed. Qing'e. Artifact. Level. 60 health. 1 attack. 1 defense. 1 magic power. 1 effect 1. Bound by emotion. Bound by emotion. Capable of devouring attributes and effects of other equipment of the same type. With a chance to enhance the effects. Effect 2. Fong of Venom. When attacking, there is a 5 chance to inflict the target with a venomous state that lasts for 30 seconds. The Heartbreak has perfectly inherited the undesirable traits of the Azure Ring, adding a modicum of attack and defense. However, the original Venom effect has seen an enhancement, with the negative consequence of health loss eliminated and a significant increase in the probability of poisoning. This is still acceptable. The Venom effect deducts health based on a percentage, and this improvement is something Lu Yu finds tolerable. Nonetheless, future choices regarding devouring rings must be made with care. Next, he examines another item. The Black Token. Ethereal Token. Special item. Effect. Upon use, the user's race transforms into the ethereal race. As expected, this is precisely what it is. Lu Yu casually tossed it into his backpack. This item is essential for treachery. Sun Hanyu, waiting nearby, grew somewhat impatient. Whereas the map? Let us check the map first. Can we look at the other items later? Alright. Lu Yu hastily agreed. Having finished inspecting the other items, he produced the map and unfolded it before everyone. The entire layout of the ethereal cave was laid bare, with the exit clearly indicated. Sun Hanyu glanced at it. Let us go. We should head out first. Yet, Lu Yu firmly grasped her arm, pointing to a specific location on the map. Minter. Something seems amiss here. Everyone followed Lu Yu's indication, which pointed directly to the castle they occupied. What seems amiss? Lu Yu surveyed his surroundings. It appeared that the construction of this prison was not merely intended to confine him, but also seemed to be concealing something. Chapter 157. Not merely a prison, not to mention his previous life. Even after being reborn, Lu Yu had examined 2 maps. The markings of this castle on the map were ones he had never encountered before. What were they concealing? Upon hearing Lu Yu's words, Sun Hanyu began to scrutinize the surroundings. She understood that her disciple was unlike other players. He possessed a profound understanding of the abyss, rather than viewing it merely as a game like others did. Hence, Sun Hanyu took Lu Yu's words very seriously. If only they could dismantle this place. Lu Yu had already begun to surmise what was being concealed here. Dismantle it. That's easy. Sun Hanyu turned to Lu Yu and the others. You all step back. I am going to summon my little treasure. Little treasure? Lu Yu responded with a puzzled expression. But he noticed that Wu Tianzhu had already urged his horse to retreat over 100 meters. This old man was most fearful of death, and his sudden retreat made Lu Yu realize that the little treasure Sun Hanyu referred to was certainly no trivial matter. Lu Yu clapped his hands at Rumeng Jiangnan, and the two promptly exited the confines of the castle. Sun Hanyu stowed away her pink young dragon before brandishing her staff. A colossal silhouette emerged in midair, soon solidifying into a classic shade of pink. Lu Yu's eyes widened in astonishment. This was, without a doubt, a giant. Standing at an impressive height of 4 to 5 meters, the skeletal general before it appeared as nothing more than a mere child. It was no wonder that Sun Hanyu had chosen to stow away the young dragon earlier. The dragonkin and the giants were sworn enemies by nature. Whenever the two factions crossed paths, it inevitably led to a relentless conflict. The fact that Sun Hanyu possessed a young dragon as a summon was already astonishing to Lu Yu, and now she had summoned a giant as well. Coupling this with the fact that Wu Tianzhu and Sun Miao, both of lower-tier earthly professions, referred to her as Miss Sun. Lu Yu couldn't help but wonder about the true identity of his mentor. He had never heard of any human family wielding such formidable power. As the pink giant touched down, it let out a furious roar towards the sky, causing the surrounding leaves to tremble violently. Lu Yu hurriedly covered his ears. While Sherry's soul screams were directed at souls, the giant's roar was purely a tremendous assault on the eardrums. The pink giant stretched languidly, sniffing the air with its nose, as if it caught a whiff of the scent of its fated adversary lingering in the atmosphere. Sun Hanyu climbed onto its shoulder, affectionately stroking its ear. Good boy. It's been a while since you've had a breath of fresh air. There's a little house here. Can you help me smash it? With a gentle bellow, the pink giant nuzzled its cheek against Sun Hanyu, displaying an endearing affection. All right. This time you can stay outside a bit longer. The giant playfully whined again before setting Sun Hanyu down beside Lu Yu and turning toward the castle. With a mighty shout, it swung its massive hands like two formidable hammers toward the fortress. In a single strike, it shattered several load-bearing pillars, and the remaining columns were toppled with a swift kick. Truly, the giants were walking war machines, effortlessly demolishing a reinforced stronghold. As the castle was reduced to rubble, a gaping black hole emerged. What was this? The others, including Lu Yu, Sun Hanyu, and Wu Tianzhu, were filled with confusion. Only Lu Yu wore a serious expression. What was this? It was an entrance to the abyss. Stepping inside would grant one the experience of an endless void. The concepts of void and darkness were entirely distinct. To feel darkness, one merely needed to close both eyes. However, to experience the void, there was no straightforward method. There was a somewhat similar approach. One could open both eyes while covering one completely with a hand. What the covered eye perceived could be termed as the void. Once one ventured into the abyss, the probability of returning was infinitesimally close to zero. In a previous life, Lu Yu would have regarded this black hole as a forbidden zone. However, following the previous task exchange with the Dwarf King, Lu Yu's understanding of this black hole has undergone a significant transformation. With the abyssal eye in hand, this black hole could transform into a passageway to foreign realms. This nefarious map leads to the underworld clan's abyssal caverns. Thus, the black hole serves as a portal to the underworld clan. Lu Yu's heart raced as he realized that he currently possessed two abyssal eyes in his backpack. He could directly venture into the underworld clan, wreaking havoc alongside his doppelganger. Avenging his grievances. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yu endeavored to calm his racing heart. He remained uncertain of where he would emerge after traversing this black hole. If the exit corresponding to this entrance were fixed, the underworld clan would have long been waiting in ambush. Venturing forth in such a scenario would be tantamount to courting death. Nevertheless, judging by their efforts to conceal this entrance, the likelihood of a non-fixed exit seemed greater. Yet, Lu Yu was unwilling to gamble with his life, especially since he was not adequately prepared. Disciple, it seems you have some knowledge of its purpose, Sun Hanyu remarked, observing Lu Yu's serious demeanor. Although she was aware of the abyss, she had never encountered it firsthand, rendering her clueless about the black hole. Lu Mingjiang also approached, curiosity evident on her face. Lu Yu donned a relaxed smile, stating, this black hole, known as the abyss, is a place from which no one returns, regardless of life or death. If you don't wish to speak, then so be it. Why does the leader still treat me as a child to deceive? Lu Mingjiang turned away, feigning annoyance. However, Sun Hanyu furrowed her brows thoughtfully. Does this mean that this object poses any danger? Lu Yu shook his head. No, theoretically. Every evil map contains such a feature. However, this one appears to have been altered by the underworld clan, standing out remarkably. Upon hearing this, Sun Hanyu finally felt reassured. Master, let us depart. There is nothing of value left to glean here. Sun Hanyu examined the map once more, confirming that there was indeed nothing of worth remaining. The most valuable item in the castle was the load-bearing pillar that had just been destroyed by the giant. Then let us leave. As they exited the castle, Lu Yu and the others mounted their steeds. Sun Hanyu was lifted by the pink giant, who then began striding toward the exit. With each of the giant's footsteps, the entire map seemed to tremble. The steeds struggled to maintain their footing amidst the quaking. Consequently, Lu Yu and his companions had no choice but to allow Sun Hanyu to depart first before guiding their steeds toward the exit. Along the way, the figures of the underworld minions were nowhere to be seen, and it was unclear where so many of them had vanished in an instant. Lu Yu paid little mind to this matter. The appearance of Morlu intensified his sense of urgency. His singular focus was to swiftly reach level 40, complete his first-class advancement, and then delve into the mysteries of the foreign realms. Chapter 158. The Spendthrift. The four individuals emerged from the shadowy depths of the nether cave, greeted once again by the brilliance of daylight. It was midday, and the sun shone radiantly. Lu Yu couldn't help but reflect on the joys of living under the sun. The nether cave, shrouded in perpetual darkness, was a haven only for the members of the nether clan, whose dark skin thrived in such gloom. Sun Miao had long since departed from this place. Prior to Lu Yu's entry into the cave, Sun Miao had mentioned seeking out Sun Hanyu. Little did he expect that the old fellow would be so efficient, as Sun Hanyu arrived merely an hour after Lu Yu, just in time to rescue him. Now, that old man was likely off wandering elsewhere. Lu Yu chose not to dwell on that. His sole desire was to return swiftly to Lingfeng City to slay monsters and level up. Raising his hand to bid farewell to his mentor, he was suddenly met with the cold gaze of Sun Hanyu. Behind her, the pink giant also regarded him with a hint of anger. Memories flooded back to Lu Yu, and the farewell that had been on the tip of his tongue was abruptly swallowed. Instead, he turned to Ru Mengjian and said, "You return to the city first. I have some matters to attend to." "Understood, leader," she replied. Having completed her duties as an apothecary and accompanied Lu Yu through an ominous map, she felt a sense of fulfillment. Ru Mengjian tore open a city return scroll, but suddenly remembered something and said, "Leader, I will personally repay you for the money you spent on the gaming pod." Before she could finish her sentence, her body transformed into a beam of light, soaring back to Lingfeng City. Unexpectedly, this young girl possessed quite a bit of spirit. Lu Yu decided not to refuse her offer. If she truly returned the money, he would find another way to reward her. After bidding farewell to Ru Mengjian, Lu Yu turned back to Sun Hanyu with a smile. "Mentor, shall we make our departure?" "Depart? Where to?" she inquired. "As you suggested, we are heading to the back mountain of the Gathering Hero Village to assist you in subduing the green-skinned cattle." "Humph, at least you've retained some sense. Otherwise, my little treasure would have flattened you with a single punch." Lu Yu shivered at her words. How could a disciple forget the tasks assigned by the mentor? Enough with the banter, come aboard. As Sun Hanyu spoke, the pink giant bent down, extending two hands. Standing upon one hand was Sun Hanyu, while Lu Yu followed suit on the other. As the giant rose, taking great strides toward the Gathering Hero Village. Each step covered considerable distance. Yet, Lu Yu, standing atop, felt no jolt whatsoever. Even the wind that met him was but a gentle caress, starkly contrasting with the imagined scene of his hair being whipped by fierce gales. It was no wonder Sun Hanyu did not mind being carried by the giant. "Mentor, do you not already possess the gold coins from Mengshuero? Why then do you not release the green-skinned cattle in the back mountain?" Lu Yu inquired. "What do you know, young man? With over 10 million gold coins in Gathering Hero Village, what could that possibly accomplish? Furthermore, accessing that so-called golden treasury requires substantial funds, and retrieving equipment and items from there also incurs costs. 10 million gold coins vanished in the blink of an eye. Master, you Haven Tea already utilized that treasury. Have you? Indeed, the treasures are in my possession. Why not make use of them? Lu Yu, when you opened it, you could have at least called me. I too could have acquired some equipment. How many times have you opened it?" "4 times, yet during the 4th opening. Acquiring a single piece of equipment cost a staggering 10 million. I do not possess such wealth, resulting in a needless loss of 500,000 gold coins." Lu Yu began to mentally calculate. The last time Meng Shui Rong opened the treasury, 12 pieces of equipment emerged. Subsequently, Meng Shui Rong failed to accumulate enough gold, so there have been no further openings. Each opening results in a diminishing return of equipment. During Sun Hanyu's recent openings, the quantities of equipment revealed were likely 10, 8, 6, and 4 pieces respectively. Excellent. During the next opening, only 2 pieces will materialize. Sun Hanyu has directly reduced the golden treasury to its least cost-effective state. What a wasteful girl. A sudden sneeze interrupted Sun Hanyu. "There is clearly no wind. Who is cursing me? Qingjiu, is that you? Master. As an honest and principled individual, how could I ever insult you? It must be that wretched member of the Nether clan, Mo Liu." Sun Hanyu nodded. "That makes sense. Cursed Nether clan. I, the young lady, shall annihilate your entire race one day." It seems Sun Hanyu harbors a profound hatred for the Nether clan. Lu Yu ceased his speech, quietly following Sun Hanyu back to the Alliance camp. Sun Hanyu comforted the pink giant and summoned it back to her side. Meanwhile, Lu Yu ventured alone to the back mountain, where the gentle-skinned cattle remained as amiable as ever. Kindness invites exploitation. The gentle horse is ridden, and the gentle cow is consumed by Lu Yu. This is an immutable truth. Of course, even if the gentle-skinned cattle were not kind, they would still fall prey to Lu Yu. The current Lu Yu is no longer the level 10 youth he once was. His primary summoned beasts have now transformed from goblins to skeleton soldiers and nether guards. Summoned beasts of levels 30 to 50 can effortlessly handle these 25-level wild monsters. The summoned beasts were scattered across the hills, capturing the gentle-skinned cattle, while Lu Yu arrived at the site where he had previously defeated Zhu Xiaochuan in a duel. It is now known that among the 3 Nether clan infiltrators within the human realm, Yumi resides in his summoned space. According to Meng Shui Rong's account, that Nether envoy has also perished. Only a Nether singer remains, lurking among the humans, yet has not revealed himself. The human realm is vast. As long as he refrains from causing trouble, it is nearly impossible to locate him. However, how can an outsider enter the human realm without stirring chaos? If he does not incite trouble, would his presence not be in vain? Lu Yu is not anxious. That Nether envoy will eventually reveal himself. Within 10 minutes, over 1,000 gentle-skinned cattle were wholly absorbed into Lu Yu's summoned space. Lu Yu retracted his summoned beast and returned to the gathering stronghold. There, Sun Hanyu and several butchers had been waiting for quite some time. Today marked the harvest festival at the stronghold. Lu Yu released all the green-skinned cattle, allowing Sun Hanyu and her companions to carry out the slaughter. Observing the expression on Sun Hanyu's face, both fatigued and exhilarated, yet utterly satisfied, he shook his head vigorously, dismissing any peculiar thoughts. This woman was remarkably adept at skinning the cattle, her movements fluid and assured. Lu Yu couldn't help but wonder if she had previously worked alongside Sun Eunyan. Before long, the hides were processed and handed over to Wu Tianju for the crafting of leather armor for sale. The gathering stronghold had learned to extend its industrial chain and enhance its value added. Sun Hanyu wiped her hands and beckoned Lu Yu closer. Speak up. When do you plan to venture to the Nether clan? Count me in. Lu Yu was taken aback. He had never mentioned how to reach the foreign tribes, nor had he expressed any intent to go. How did Sun Hanyu manage to deduce this? Where did you hear such a thing? He inquired. Do not conceal it from me. I have heard since childhood of a method that allows one to traverse the abyss to reach foreign clans. However, this method seems to have been lost to time. After witnessing that black hole today, you appeared so stirred. I surmise you must know this method. Moreover, I can discern your hatred for the Nether clan is no less than my own. Lu Yu nodded, surprised that his mentor had guessed correctly. He decided to drop the pretense. There were indeed some truths he could share with her that he could not disclose to other players. He promptly revealed to Sun Hanyu the method of crossing the abyss to reach the foreign tribes. He then summoned Wang Dachui and cast a restoration spell on him. Mentor, this method was imparted to me by him. Sun Hanyu turned her gaze to Wang Dachui. Are there any other restrictions regarding the crossing of racial barriers and traversing the abyss? For instance, can my summoned beast accompany me? Wang Dachui still appeared to be on the brink of collapse. He looked at Lu Yu, and upon receiving a nod from him, he replied, as long as you are not rejected, your summoned beast may accompany you. The greatest obstacles in crossing the barrier and the abyss are not the eye of the abyss, but rather the choices of the abyss itself. As Sun Hanyu seemed poised to inquire further, Wang Dachui's health bar reached 0, and he returned to Lu Yu's summoning space. Whether you can cross the racial barrier is beyond our control, he concluded. Sun Hanyu sighed. Regardless, I must attempt it. When do you plan to go? Seeing her determination, Lu Yu chose not to press the matter further. He too hoped Sun Hanyu could join him. Having an additional second-tier summoner would undoubtedly bolster their chances in the foreign realm. I wish to first reach level 40, complete my first-class advancement, and then venture to the Dwarven territory to test the waters. Sun Hanyu nodded. Your considerations are astute. Proceed with your leveling, and once you attain level 40, bring me 3 million gold coins, and I shall grant you your first advancement. Is that agreeable? 3 million gold coins? Mentor, are you trying to extort me? What? Do you have objections? Have you forgotten about the task of capturing the greenskin cattle? I have yet to settle that account with you. Earlier, in the Abyss Cave, not only did I save your life, but I also assisted you in taming an 80-level summoned beast. What is wrong with charging you 3 million gold coins? Do you find it excessive? If so, I can certainly increase the amount. Lu Yu hurriedly interjected. No. I believe 3 million is just fine. Fearing that Sun Hanyu might raise the price, Lu Yu hastily attempted to take his leave from the gathering stronghold, only to be stopped by Sun Hanyu. Can you find a suitable leveling spot? After pondering, Lu Yu realized that, given his current strength, leveling points in the range of levels 40 to 50 were no longer sufficient. However, he could certainly locate numerous spots for levels above 50. Yet before he could respond, Sun Hanyu spoke again. Allow me to recommend one for you. System notification. Your mentor, Sun Hanyu, has issued you a quest. Clear the goblin camp. Quest completion reward. Sun Hanyu, favorability 5. Quest failure penalty. Lose all coins in your possession. Do you accept? Lu Yu thought, is this woman obsessed with wealth? If I fail the quest, she demands all my coins? Nevertheless, the quest reward was somewhat acceptable, although it did not yield tangible items. The 5 points of favorability were worth pursuing. A higher favorability with NPCs would unlock more collaborative opportunities. Most importantly, Lu Yu hoped that once his favorability increased, Sun Hanyu would charge him less for his class advancement. Mentor, where is this goblin camp? Lu Yu inquired. While he was familiar with several goblin caves, this goblin camp was a new concept to him. Sun Hanyu marked a location on the map for Lu Yu. Right here. It appeared mysteriously a few days ago, not far from our gathering stronghold. I dispatched scouts, and they reported that it is populated entirely by high-level goblins, all above level 60. I fear they may pose a threat to my stronghold, so I need you to help me eliminate them. Mysteriously appeared? Lu Yu thought. Monsters in the abyss are projections of foreign races. As far as I know, goblins are typically subterranean dwellers. The emergence of a goblin camp usually indicates a military mobilization. What could have transpired among the goblin tribe to warrant such a movement? Very well, mentor. I shall set off at once. With the quest accepted, Lu Yu wasted no time and made his way to the goblin camp, following the marker on the map. System notification. The item, Guild Establishment Order, U auction has been purchased by player, with a final transaction price of 1.3 million gold coins. After deducting a 10 service fee, you will receive 1.17 million gold coins, which have been deposited into your backpack. A construction order was sold for 1.3 million gold coins, neither an excessive nor a trivial sum. The primary reason for this is the current scarcity of gold among players. Aside from those like Du Guohua, who have long been deliberately acquiring gold, it is quite a challenge for others to gather 1.3 million in a short span. With Du Guohua contributing an additional 1 million, Lu Yu now possesses a total of 2 million gold coins. He still requires 800,000 to reach 3 million. A daunting task indeed. The buyer concealed their ID, leaving Lu Yu unaware of their identity. He speculates that it is likely someone from the Aoshi faction, as they tend to exercise caution when purchasing their own items. Regardless of the buyer's identity, the establishment of the next faction will soon reveal the truth. System announcement. Congratulations to player Aoshi Xingtian for establishing the Aoshi Alliance. Indeed, it was a member of Aoshi. Lu Yu held no particular concern regarding their acquisition of the construction order. He had anticipated such an outcome when he initially released it. The early benefits of faction establishment have already been largely claimed by his Abyssal Lord. Champions and Huan also established their factions yesterday, allowing them to salvage some leftovers. The timing of the remaining factions' establishment, whether a day earlier or later, bears little significance. System announcement. Congratulations to player Kuanglong Longhun for establishing the Kuanglong faction. Another one. Kuanglong has also founded a faction. This system notification took Lu Yu by surprise. The construction order for Kuanglong was likely obtained through their own efforts. These resolute individuals truly possess an indomitable spirit. System notification. Player Kuanglong Longhun has requested to add you as a friend. It seems Longhun's condition has improved. Lu Yu accepted the friend request. Qingjiu, I just logged in today. Thank you so much. Chapter 160. Goblin Camp. I tried the method you mentioned to Gunslinger, and I've experienced significant improvement in my health. Are you currently in Lingfeng City? I must thank you in person. There's no need for such formalities. My recommendation was purely based on your commendable conduct. I have other matters to attend to, so let us converse another time. Regardless, I, Longhun, owe you a favor. Lu Yu closed the dialog box. It appears the gaming pod indeed possesses remarkable therapeutic effects, preserving a rare talent for the human race. The centaur galloped swiftly, soon arriving near the goblin camp. According to Sun Hanyu, this area is inhabited by high-level goblins, all above level 60. Lu Yu remained cautious, recalling his summoned beast and quieting his movements as he stealthily approached the camp. Just a few steps in, he spotted several goblins clad in armor, wearing steel helmets, and wielding long spears. There were 5 in total, seemingly a small patrol unit. Goblin Warrior, Common Wild Monster, Level 60 Description, a warrior of the Goblin Legion, possessing considerable combat experience and tactical prowess. Indeed, a Goblin Legion is stationed here. Lu Yu rubbed his hands together, feeling a surge of excitement. Capturing a legion before venturing into the foreign lands would greatly bolster his journey. However, how could he subdue this legion with minimal cost? According to the information provided by Sun Hanyu, the main camp of this Goblin Legion is nestled within a gourd-shaped valley. Within the valley, nearly 10,000 goblins reside, and only a few hundred sentinels need to guard the entrance. The expanse of the valley is vast, yet the entrance is narrow, making it impossible to deploy all summoned beasts effectively. It would be challenging to achieve victory solely through numerical superiority as before. Moreover, even if they managed to breach the defenses, they would incur significant losses among their summoned beasts. At this moment, Lu Yu longed for the time spent leveling up alongside the enchanting girl from Jiangnan. Back then, he merely commanded the skeleton warriors in battle, without concern for casualties. Having consumed thousands of nether guardians, his skeleton warriors had suffered hardly any losses. If the enchanting girl were still present, Lu Yu would not need to ponder extensively. He could simply charge forward. Yet, he needed to strategize. Lu Yu murmured softly to himself, deciding to deal with the small squad before him first. Subduing a legion was no easy feat, but capturing a small squad was still manageable. He summoned the Forest King, one of the few bosses that survived the carnage of Moru. Its dark green trunk and foliage seamlessly blended with the surrounding rock formations. The commotion immediately caught the attention of the Goblin Patrol Squad. 5 Goblin warriors, vigilant, raised their spears, advancing cautiously towards Lu Yu's position. Unbeknownst to them, the moment their feet crossed into this area, they had already entered the territory of the Forest King. Lu Yu made a gesture, and the surrounding branches and vines swiftly converged, ensnaring the 5 Goblin warriors. The Forest King first obstructed the Goblin warriors' mouths, rendering them incapable of uttering a sound. The Goblin warriors struggled desperately, but soon their hands and feet were also bound, and their spears clattered to the ground, leaving them with no opportunity for resistance. The Forest King extended its slender thorns from the branches, piercing into the bodies of the Goblin warriors. Skill, life drain. The 5 Goblin warriors visibly withered at an alarming rate. Lu Yu recorded this scene and sent it to the enchanting girl from Jiangnan. He recalled her remarking that her methods had been too cruel when she had slain the Forest King. Now she would grasp the true meaning of cruelty. The 5 Goblin warriors were drawn into Lu Yu's summoning space, and he promptly summoned them forth. Observing their verdant skin and taut muscles, Lu Yu could not help but reminisce about the goblins from the novice village. They constituted the first batch of his formidable summoned beasts, not only aiding him in saving the novice village, but also helping him establish his foothold in the secondary main city. Even now, within Lu Yu's summoning space, a few goblin archers and goblin assassins remained. Their levels, around 16 or 17, had become inadequate for Lu Yu's current needs. Thus, he placed them in a corner alongside the large-eared rabbit, where a black water snake and a shallow-water crocodile also resided. These were all summoned beasts captured from the novice village, and Lu Yu retained 1 or 2 as mementos. What level is the Legion commander within the valley? Report, Master. The commander is an 80-level diamond boss. Besides your commander, are there any other formidable leaders? Report, Master. Apart from the commander, there are 2 vice commanders, both 70-level dark gold bosses. Each commands an elite guard, making them quite formidable. The goblin warrior relayed all the information it knew. Lu Yu nodded, noting that an 80-level diamond boss and 2 70-level dark gold bosses did not represent the main force of the goblin tribe. Nonetheless, even so, a regular army would far surpass the rabble found in the goblin lairs. The 80-level commander could be addressed by the Lord of the Underworld, that is, the projection of Moru, which presented no significant challenge. The more troublesome aspect lay with the 2 70-level vice commanders. The skeletal general and other boss-level summoned beasts should suffice to handle one, but the other would prove more difficult. Moreover, there were 3 elite guards to contend with. No, facing all 3 at once was not feasible. They must be dealt with separately. As for the specifics, Lu Yu glanced at the goblin general within his summoning space. Perhaps it could be put to the test. The current dilemma was to first eliminate the patrolling goblins outside the valley, and then find a way to infiltrate the Gourd Valley. Relying on the Forest King to tackle them one by one would take an eternity. Setting fire? That was a jest. Not to mention the terrain was purely mountainous. Devoid of weeds or trees, Lu Yu could not find anything combustible. Even if he managed to gather a substantial amount of wood and had the skeletal soldiers climb the surrounding mountains, the noise would undoubtedly attract the goblins' attention. All around the Gourd Valley were patrolling goblins, making stealth impossible. A gentle breeze swept through the mouth of the gourd, emitting a low, mournful sound. It was common for the valley to be windy, with the breeze flowing from the outside in. Given the time, it seemed likely that a fire was being prepared for cooking within the valley. Suddenly, Lu Yu's eyes brightened. The wind was quite favorable. He quickly located a position directly facing the valley's entrance, where 2 patrolling squads were silently dispatched by the Forest King. Summoning the Vine Demon, he declared, "Now, it is entrusted to you." Chapter 161. The Goblin Yellow Turban Army. The Vine Demon possesses a skill known as Fragrant Toxin. During Lu Yu's first descent to Falling Eagle Peak, he was ambushed by this very toxin. However, aware of its potency, he had taken precautions in advance. On his descent, Lu Yu took the time to subdue the Vine Demon, specifically for the sake of this skill. Today, it proved to be invaluable. The toxin emitted by the Vine Demon carries a subtle fragrance. Initially, it merely evokes feelings of joy and tranquility. Yet, unbeknownst to the victim, the toxin silently accumulates. Once it reaches a critical threshold, the targeted individual succumbs to severe poisoning, leading to states of faintness and other adverse effects. The Vine Demon writhed, its invisible toxin beginning to permeate the air, drifting towards the valley's entrance with the gentle caress of the breeze. Lu Yu sat still, awaiting the outcome. Provided the goblins within the valley remained unsuspecting, it would take no more than half an hour for them all to fall victim. Waiting was a tedious affair, and Lu Yu habitually opened the forum. The most trending topic at present was undoubtedly the emergence of several new guilds, following the Abyss Lord's ascension to level 2. 4 major guilds had been established within a mere 24 hours. The blogger, Pure and Innocent Young Girl, boldly proclaimed that the formation of these guilds was at least 80 attributable to Qingzhou's efforts. This particular poster typically shared strategies and guides, but whenever a significant event occurred, they were the first to disseminate information with remarkable speed. Just a day prior, they had predicted the arrival of numerous new guilds, and now that prophecy had materialized, with the comments overflowing with praise for the soothsayer. Lu Yu remained somewhat unfamiliar with Pure and Innocent Young Girl. In his previous life, such a blogger did not exist, yet in the current era of social media, bloggers from various domains proliferated. Initially, Lu Yu was indifferent. However, the frequent pinning and highlighting of Pure and Innocent Young Girl's posts by the moderators made it nearly impossible for him to overlook them. Moreover, during his time in the novice village, this blogger had consistently disparaged him. Yet upon entering the level 2 main city, the narrative shifted dramatically, and they began to exonerate him. This transformation piqued Lu Yu's curiosity. What truly caught Lu Yu's attention was a photograph mentioned in a previous article. To this day, he had yet to discover who had taken that picture. Could Pure and Innocent Young Girl be affiliated with the authorities? After pondering for a moment, he concluded that this was the most plausible explanation. After all, how could one individual acquire such timely and valuable information without some form of assistance? Unless they too were a reincarnate. Lu Yu shook his head. That seemed implausible. He perused several more threads, as was his custom, contributing corrections and enhancements beneath various experience posts. Half an hour swiftly elapsed. The Vine Demon appeared exceedingly weary, akin to a man who has just completed a taxing task. Having diminished in size significantly, it seemed that all the essence within had been entirely released, leaving not a single drop behind. Lu Yu retracted it into the summoning space and summoned the Widow Queen to scout ahead, while he and the other summoned beasts proceeded towards the entrance of the Gourd Valley. Along the way, they encountered goblin patrols, which succumbed to a state of severe toxicity. Their attributes diminished, and their health steadily declining. Some goblin warriors were already on the brink of death. Without hesitation, Lu Yu charged forward with 5 centaur warriors accompanied by skeletal cavalry, swiftly extinguishing the lives of these goblin warriors. In a matter of moments, nearly 100 goblin warriors had been added to Lu Yu's summoning space. He finally reached the valley's entrance, where the goblin warriors stationed as guards seemed to have vanished. The Widow Queen had already stealthily infiltrated to gather intelligence. Lu Yu activated his skill, Hard SI, sharing the Widow Queen's perspective. Within the Gourd Valley, many goblin warriors lay poisoned and incapacitated. However, they had evidently realized the situation, as a lieutenant was orchestrating the care of the severely wounded goblin warriors, instructing others to procure potions for detoxification. Additionally, a contingent of 100 troops was dispatched from the depths to fortify the entrance. This battalion's equipment was markedly distinct from that of ordinary goblin warriors. Rather than spears, they wielded sharp scythes, and each bore a piece of yellow cloth over their faces, presumably soaked to shield against the Vine Demon's toxic fumes. Goblin Yellow Turban Army, Elite Wild Monster, Level 65 Description, the elite of the goblin race, each possessing the capability to contend with 10 foes. This 100-strong unit was likely one of the 3 elite guards. Lu Yu let out a slight sigh of relief. Fortunate that they were merely elite monsters and not abyssal creatures. The elite guard units he had encountered previously were all composed of abyssal beings. The presence of the Goblin Yellow Turban Army, being elite monsters, also indicated that the overall strength of this legion was rather average. Lu Yu paused at the valley's entrance. Previously troubled about how to separate and deal with the 3 bosses and their elite guards, he now found an elite guard unit approaching him. Lu Yu summoned a multitude of beasts, strategically positioning them in ambush at various locations near the entrance, awaiting the arrival of the Goblin Yellow Turban Army. As for the Widow Queen, Lu Yu initially intended for her to delve deeper to ascertain the location of the Diamond Tier boss. However, a lieutenant now obstructed the crucial pathway inward. Given the Widow Queen's lower level, a reckless attempt to stealthily pass could likely result in her discovery. To avoid alarming the adversary, Lu Yu ordered the Widow Queen to remain concealed in a corner, waiting until he had dealt with the Yellow Turban Army before proceeding. Soon, the formation of the Yellow Turban Army came into view, their scythes towering over them like great blades. Some goblins carried their scythes on their shoulders. Some cradled them in front of themselves, while others mimicked monkeys, resting the scythes on their necks, their arms draped over the sides. The 100-strong goblin yellow scarves displayed a myriad of poses with their scythes, lacking any semblance of a disciplined elite force. However, Lu Yu, seasoned by the crucible of war, discerned that this squad was undoubtedly a formidable one. Despite their apparent lethargy, their spirits were restrained. They appeared disorganized, yet they would instantly prepare for battle upon encountering a situation. Although the disparity in levels obscured their attributes from view, Lu Yu surmised that their stats were likely on par with those of a minor boss, coupled with exceptional combat prowess. This would be a challenging endeavor. To subdue this 100 would likely entail significant sacrifices. The arrow was already knocked. Despite the difficulties, action was imperative. Subduing these 100 goblin yellow scars would enhance his odds against the 3 bosses. Lu Yu raised his staff and invoked Falling Rock. A deluge of stones cascaded from the void, crashing down upon the goblin yellow scarves, heralding the onset of the attack. As the boulders plummeted, the skeletal archers unleashed a volley of arrows. Those concealed behind the rocky outcrops surged forth with the skeletal cavalry, followed closely by the shadowy sentinel squad. Over 1,000 summoned beasts filled the entire gorge, encircling the goblin yellow scarves. Since they had arrived, retreat was not an option. The moment the massive stones materialized in the air, the goblin yellow scarves were already on high alert. Yet, the narrowness of the gorge left them with no room to evade, as the summoned beasts surrounded them completely. A few goblin yellow scarves leaped into the air, wielding their scythes to cleave the largest stones asunder. The remaining goblins promptly reacted, their scythes whirling to deflect both debris and arrows alike. Surprisingly, Lu Yu's initial wave of ranged attacks from himself and the summoned beasts had little effect. Indeed, they proved to be a challenging foe. The swift responses of the goblin yellow scarves evoked memories of the goblin general's elite guard. In the goblin lair, the coordination of those 18 elite guards had been equally seamless and rapid. Alas, their levels were too low. Otherwise, Lu Yu would have considered summoning them to engage with these yellow scarves. 3 centaurs had already breached the ranks of the goblin yellow scarves. True to their nature as abyss-level wild monsters, even with a 15-level disadvantage, they managed to hold their ground against 3 foes. The 2 centaur archers provided distant support, each arrow significantly diminishing the health of their targets. In contrast, the skeletal cavalry's assaults were not as effective. The level 40 skeletal cavalry, in the current battle, lacked the unstoppable momentum they once possessed. They struggled under the burden of a 25-level gap, making their task exceedingly arduous. It is not that the skeletal cavalry is lacking in prowess, but rather that the foes Lu Yu faces are growing increasingly formidable. Merely a span of 10 days has elapsed since Lu Yu tamed the skeletal warhorses, and now he finds himself confronting the goblin yellow turbans. Countless skeletal cavalry have fallen beneath the sides of the goblin yellow turbans. Lu Yu's restorative spells barely suffice to sustain the life force of his troops, leaving him no time to attend to the skeletal cavalry. Fortunately, the surrounding nether guard maintains a commendable performance, leveraging their numerical advantage to keep the goblin yellow turbans at bay. After a brief moment, several goblin yellow turbans finally succumbed in a pool of blood, creating a breach in their ironclad defense. Lu Yu immediately summoned these fallen goblins into his ranks. With the addition of the yellow turbans to the fray, the pressure on his summoned beasts was noticeably alleviated. Lu Yu's rockfall spell continued to rain down, disrupting the rhythm of the goblin yellow turbans. Although these yellow turbans exhibited commendable coordination, they were not an impenetrable unit. When it comes to skill, Lu Yu is their progenitor. His rockfall spell is capable of shattering their unity. Gradually, an increasing number of goblin yellow turbans transformed into Lu Yu's summoned beasts. As the balance of power shifted, the remaining goblin yellow turbans struggled to maintain their formation. Within a mere 10 minutes, this elite squad would undoubtedly become entirely Lu Yu's summoned creatures. Yet, Lu Yu remained vigilant, personally directing the battle of his summoned beasts. Just as the elite squad dwindled to fewer than 10, one goblin yellow turban unexpectedly produced a horn and raised it to his lips to blow. However, before he could sound the horn, the goblin general swiftly snatched it away with a commanding gesture. It was absurd to think of blowing a horn in this vicinity. It would undoubtedly alert the goblin legion in the valley. To eliminate this elite squad silently, Lu Yu had refrained from using his own war horn. Now, could he allow the message to be conveyed back? The goblin, deprived of his horn, was instantly engulfed in rage and attempted to charge out of the encirclement to confront the one who had taken it. Yet, upon looking up and seeing the stern visage of the goblin general, his expression changed dramatically. His body, once poised to leap, wilted instantly, his legs trembling uncontrollably as if he were on the verge of losing all composure. The other goblin yellow turbans also took notice of the newly arrived goblin general. Halting their actions and exchanging glances with one another, they ceased their assault, but Lu Yu's summoned beasts did not relent. The nether guards surged forward, swiftly dispatching the remaining goblin yellow turbans. Only then did Lu Yu exhale softly in relief. Had he known the goblin general would prove so effective, he would have summoned him sooner. Lu Yu surveyed the battlefield and, as expected, found no equipment drops. However, a significant amount of gold had been amassed, with nearly 10,000 coins emerging from the defeat of 100 goblin yellow turbans. He had drawn closer to his goal of 3 million. Lu Yu gazed at the goblin yellow turban army within the summoning space, his lips pursed in contemplation. In his efforts to subdue them, his skeletal cavalry had suffered devastating losses, with even the other skeleton soldiers dwindling by hundreds, almost a 5-to-1 exchange. Fortunately, the outcome had still favored him, significantly enhancing his combat prowess. Yet, he found himself ill-prepared to challenge the entire goblin legion in his current state, particularly when faced with the trio of boss-level commanders, which left him feeling quite constrained. It would be prudent to devise a method to lure out a detachment of elite guards, or perhaps directly summon an officer. As these thoughts coursed through his mind, an unexpected thrill surged within him, emanating from his summoned beast, specifically, the Widow Wong. He hastily opened his mind's eye to connect with her perspective. Before him materialized a formidable figure, steadily advancing towards the widow. Had he been discovered? Though she had remained hidden in the shadows, the significant disparity in levels rendered detection inevitable. Escape was no longer an option. Lu Yu decided to have the widow await a free recall to the summoning space. However, as the officer drew nearer to the widow, a sense of foreboding enveloped Lu Yu. The officer's expression was fraught with conflict and impatience, not the demeanor of one who had spotted an adversary. Upon reaching the corner, the officer glanced around, ensuring no other goblins were in proximity. Slowly, he unfastened his belt and removed his greaves, revealing the unmistakable mark of a male goblin. WOC. Lu Yu felt a sting in his eyes. The esteemed vice-captain had resorted to relieving himself in the open. Seizing control of the widow, Lu Yu commanded her to thrust forward with her dagger, the sound of blades slicing through flesh resonating sharply. This was followed by a scream akin to that of a slaughtered pig. The officer clutched his groin, curling in agony upon the ground. Now was not the time to hesitate. The widow bolted towards the valley entrance. The officer struggled to his feet, bellowing, "Whoever you are, I will kill you. I will kill you." As he limped after her, the surrounding goblin warriors stood frozen, staring at his exposed lower half. Chapter 163. Vice Captain Jia. Was that just now Vice Captain Jia? No way. That looked like Vice Captain Jia's female pet. But Vice Captain Jia is male. I clearly saw him run past without anything. Same here. Oh, I see. That changes nothing. What are you all blind? Didn't you see that Vice Captain is bleeding? Quickly, inform the commander. Tell him Vice Captain Jia was ambushed and lost his manhood. The goblin warriors around were momentarily stunned. What are you all standing around for? Move. You all go. Notify the entire camp and alert everyone. Yes. The surrounding goblin warriors finally reacted, immediately taking off while shouting, "Deputy Commander Jia has been attacked. All troops, stand alert." The same warning echoed throughout the Gourd Valley. The limping Deputy Commander Jia, in pursuit of Widow Wang, distinctly heard the alarm from the camp, and his fury erupted. Which little brat shouted this alarm? When I return, I shall flay him alive in public. His pace quickened. Just a few steps away from seizing Widow Wang, he had perceived that she was a female goblin, endowed with the allure of a mature woman, and thus, she was not to be overlooked. Deputy Commander Jia licked his lips, already contemplating how to indulge in her once captured. Just as his fantasies took flight, he suddenly realized something, which fueled his rage further. Damn it, even if I'm deprived, I will find something to make you suffer. Ahead lay the entrance of the gourd, where he recalled his guard stationed. This woman could not escape. Turning a corner, indeed, a squad of goblin yellow turbans awaited his command. Deputy Commander Jia exclaimed joyfully, "You there, apprehend this woman." However, the goblin yellow turbans, typically obedient to his orders, stood motionless this time. "Are you deaf? Hurry and capture her. Whoever gets her first shall be the first to enjoy her." Yet, they remained unmoved. Just as Deputy Commander Jia was about to erupt in anger, he noticed an individual stepping onto the shoulder of the goblin general. "What do you mean by first to enjoy?" Deputy Commander Jia trembled and was on the verge of prostration. In response to the general, enjoy refers to savoring the delicacies of the human race. The goblin general was the supreme leader of the entire goblin army. Even as a mere deputy commander of a mixed troop, he was compelled to tremble in the presence of the goblin general. It was no wonder his own guards disobeyed him. The general had arrived in person. However, before he could fully kneel, he sensed something amiss. The anticipated pressure did not descend upon him. Summoning his courage, he stole a glance at the goblin general, only to discover that it was a projection, weak and insubstantial, devoid of any significant power. Moreover, the goblin general's ID glowed a vivid red, indicating they were not of the same faction. When he turned to regard the human standing atop the goblin general's projection, he found the human grinning back at him. "Damn it, you treacherous human, you are playing me." With a thunderous roar, it suppressed the pain in its lower body and leaped directly from the ground, lunging towards Lu Yu. Yet, in the next moment, its form vanished into thin air, along with the Dark Lord that Lu Yu had summoned long ago. Lu Yu, already troubled by how to draw out a formidable boss to eliminate, was taken aback by the unexpected ease of his success. The vice commander, in his blind rage, had foolishly pursued the Widow Wang without a second thought. This can be understood, as a sudden and brutal physical emasculation is an unbearable ordeal for any male creature. Vice Commander Jia's fury was entirely justified. Furthermore, in his mind, the gourd mouth was securely guarded by his loyal soldiers, rendering it a safe haven. He was unaware that Lu Yu had already subdued those very guards. Thus, it was only natural for him to pursue without caution. Suddenly, a series of trumpets echoed throughout Gourd Valley. Lu Yu frowned. The troops within the valley had finally realized they were under siege, signaling their assembly. Any furtive plans from this point forward would be nearly impossible. However, once Vice Commander Jia was subdued, Lu Yu would possess sufficient strength to confront the entire goblin army. Within a minute and a half, the Dark Lord reappeared at Lu Yu's side, accompanied by a beam of light that entered Lu Yu's summoning space. Vice Commander Jia was effortlessly dealt with, and Lu Yu successfully leveled up to 36, gaining 80 experience points. The reputation of the Dark Songster as a formidable solo combatant was indeed well-deserved. Even Sun Hanyu, an 80-level second transformation character clad in high-tier gear, found himself reduced to below half health amidst overwhelming odds. Vice Commander Jia, a 70-level Dark Gold boss, stood no chance against him, especially while battling with injuries. Although the wound to his lower body did not significantly deplete his health, the accompanying pain was excruciating. An item of equipment and a small pile of gold coins fell from the sky, dropped by Vice Commander Jia. The equipment was a 70-level golden artifact, which would be of little use in the immediate future, as even upon reaching level 70, golden artifacts had become exceedingly commonplace. Lu Yu casually tossed it into his backpack, planning to sell it at the store later. With a wave of his hand, Lu Yu summoned Vice Commander Jia. The first thing Jia did upon emerging was to glance at his lower half. Upon realizing that everything had fully returned to normal, he exhaled in relief and bowed to Lu Yu, expressing his gratitude. "Thank you, Master, for your grace." Lu Yu replied, "First, put your pants back on. It's quite an eyesore. You are familiar with your own soldiers. I will allow you to lead them once more. Guard the gourd mouth." "Understood." Vice Commander Jia, accompanied by the Goblin Yellow Turban Army, positioned himself at the valley's entrance, awaiting the arrival of the goblin forces. The primary reason Gourd Valley is easy to defend, yet difficult to attack lies in the fact that once the entrance is secured, penetrating the valley becomes an arduous task. In a similar vein, the valley mouth occupied by Lu Yu has become a veritable prison for those within, making escape exceedingly difficult. Previously, Lu Yu refrained from such blockade tactics due to a lack of formidable combat power. However, the situation has shifted. The combat prowess of the Goblin Yellow Turban Army is now sufficient to hold the valley entrance for a considerable duration, even should they perish in the process. Lu Yu can easily replenish his ranks with new goblin warriors, perpetuating a cycle of relentless conflict. As for the cliffs on either side, although they too host goblin fighters, The steepness of the terrain permits only a scant few to stand atop them. Lu Yu has little interest in utilizing that elevated position. When the time comes, dispatching the black-headed eagles will effortlessly neutralize the goblins situated above. Concurrently, Lu Yu has summoned all ranged classes from the summoning space. Although the skeletal archer's attacks have become somewhat ineffective, even the tiniest of contributions is still appreciated. Additionally, for necromancers and 2 centaur archers, alongside several summoned beasts, provide substantial firepower. Ultimately, Lu Yu has even released the Vine Demon, which he had recently recalled from the summoning space. Though still in a languid state, it has regained some vitality. Lu Yu commands it to emit a fragrant aroma once more. While the quantity may not accumulate within the goblins to a level of toxicity, past experiences ensure that the goblin army will devise methods to counteract the smell. Sometimes, merely covering one's face with a damp cloth can significantly impact combat effectiveness. Just as Lu Yu completes these preparations, the sound of synchronized footsteps reverberates from within the Gourd Valley. Chapter 164, Deputy Commander Jinha, did you witness it with your own eyes? A goblin, bare-chested and displaying well-defined muscles, sits astride a horse, laughing heartily. In response to Deputy Commander Jin, the words were indeed witnessed firsthand. Deputy Commander Jia is now devoid of his lower half. Ha ha ha. Deputy Commander Jin laughs with even greater abandon, exclaiming, how can he possibly compete with me for the position of commander? A man who has lost his most vital parts shouldn't be lingering in the barracks when he ought to be tending to his offspring. It's enough to make one laugh uproariously. The surrounding loyal soldiers immediately echo his sentiments. Once the old commander is reassigned, the entire legion will be under your command. What can that Jia fellow use to contest against our commander? His remaining half a body? Ha ha ha. The goblins gathered around Deputy Commander Jin burst into uproarious laughter. All loyal to him, known as the Green Hat Goblins. Each dons a vibrant green felt hat, wielding sharp daggers. Proceed slowly ahead. That Jia character's yellow turban army still possesses decent combat strength. Regardless of the enemy, let them endure a little longer. Commander Jin is wise. Commander, I can smell that aroma once again. Such trivial skills, they are but a fraction of what they can truly achieve. What has Jia been doing for so long that he has yet to resolve the enemy? Everyone, immediately cover your mouths and noses with wet cloths. Captain, we have no water. No water. Haven't you urinated yet? Yes, Captain. The goblin race is inherently filthy and pays little heed to matters of hygiene. All the green-hatted goblins promptly unfasten their trousers. Lu Yu, utilizing Widow Wan's perspective, witnessed this scene and decisively severed his view. Such an unpalatable sight provoked nausea with each glance. It appeared that Vice Captain Jun was at odds with Vice Captain Jia, persistently seeking ways to undermine Jia's influence. Such internal strife is common among any intelligent species. However, compared to Jia's personal guards, Jin's subordinates were evidently more adept at flattery. Just moments ago, that green-hatted goblin had omitted the title, directly addressing Jin as captain. Your old commander has yet to depart. Nevertheless, this presents an opportune moment. Lu Yu was merely a turn away from the green-hatted goblins led by Vice Captain Jin. While they were preoccupied with countering the poisonous gas, it was the perfect moment to strike unexpectedly. With a command from Lu Yu, Vice Captain Jia led the Yellow Turban Army into the fray. The green-hatted goblins, still in the midst of adjusting their trousers, were momentarily stunned by the battle cries. Upon recognizing the approaching Yellow Turban Army, they felt a slight relief. Although the green-hatted and Yellow Turban factions were not on amicable terms, they were still part of the same legion, engaged in covert skirmishes yet hesitant to confront openly. However, it soon became apparent that something was amiss. The names above the heads of these goblins were marked in red. They were foes, though unaware of the unfolding events. As personal guards to a legion vice captain, their combat capabilities were not to be underestimated. The quicker green-hatted goblins hastily pulled up their trousers and grasped their daggers, while the slower ones resorted to entering stealth mode. The Yellow Turban Army consisted of warrior-class fighters, whereas these green-hatted goblins specialized in assassination. In the past, Lu Yu found stealthy assassins particularly vexing, often having to form a human wall to probe cautiously. However, the situation had changed. Just as the green-hatted goblins began to fade from sight, the skeleton general charged into their ranks atop his steed. With a powerful stomp, the hooves struck down with a warlike trampling. As the green-hatted goblins transitioned into stealth, one was brutally kicked out of it. From a distance, Lu Yu feared the skill's coverage might be insufficient and cast a rockfall spell. 100 green-hatted goblins were abruptly stripped of their stealth. Vice Captain Jun, infuriated, leapt from his horse, thrusting his dagger towards the skeleton general's rear. The assassin's signature initiation skill, backstab. The skeleton general's steed had barely landed when it was pierced through several ribs, suffering a third of its health in an instant. The green-hatted goblins surged forth, encircling the skeleton general, rendering him unable to advance or retreat. It is not feasible. Lu Yu possesses but a few summoned beasts capable of area damage, with the skeleton general being the most effective among them. It must not be allowed to perish. The Lord of the Abyss activated the skill surrounded by enemies, whisking away Deputy Commander Jin, who intended to unleash a series of attacks. Lu Yu gestured, and the skeleton general returned to the summoning space. The goblin yellow turban army charged forth with a roar. In the absence of stealth, an assassin, despite their class distinction, finds it exceedingly challenging to confront a warrior head-on. Moreover, the sound of two horns echoed, low and resonant, reverberating throughout the Gourd Valley. This was not a warning from the green-hatted goblins, but the war horn of Lu Yu and the goblin general. The goblin general's war horn possessed a greater attribute bonus. Yet it was effective only for the goblin race. Upon exiting the novice village, Lu Yu's primary force transformed into skeletal soldiers. This resulted in a prolonged period during which only Lu Yu's war horn was in effect. At this moment, the goblin general finally had the opportunity to regain his stature. Presently, Lu Yu harbored no concerns that his use of the war horn would attract the attention of the goblin warriors within the Gourd Valley. He was confident that he could eliminate this contingent of green-hatted goblins before the main force arrived. Subsequently, he would secure the valley's entrance and gradually diminish the remaining goblin army. Everything was under his control. Chapter 165, The Old Legion Commander within the Gourd Valley. Inside the grand tent, an elderly goblin, appearing somewhat frail, occupied the central position. He was the commander of this goblin legion. With his eyes half closed, he remained motionless. Behind him stood two small goblins, one male and one female, while several robust goblin centurions flanked either side of the tent. Notably, the two positions closest to the commander remained vacant, reserved for the two deputy commanders. Up to this point, the entire legion, aside from the two deputy commanders and their loyal guards, had not mobilized a single soldier. A palpable silence enveloped the tent as the old commander refrained from speaking, leaving the other goblins to murmur amongst themselves. Occasionally, the goblin centurions on either side exchanged glares. Suddenly, a goblin scout rushed in to report, "Commander, Deputy Commander Jia and the Yellow Turban Army have inexplicably engaged in combat with Deputy Commander Zhen and his forces. Deputy Commander Zhen's green-hatted army is holding out, but will not last long." The old commander nodded, and the scout retreated. Immediately, one of the centurions on the left shouted, "Commander, that traitor Jia has rebelled. I request your command. And I am willing to lead the troops to eliminate him and his loyal guards." The centurions on the left quickly echoed, "Yes. Let us kill that traitor Jia at once." The centurion on the right, however, seethed with anger. The scout only mentioned that Deputy Commander Jia and Zhen have clashed. He did not specify the reason. "I believe that the real traitor is undoubtedly Zhen. Commander, I implore you to issue the order. I too wish to lead the troops to slay that traitor Zhen. The vice commander is truly a formidable figure. How dare you insult our vice commander? It seems you are courting death. Come forth. The one who could slay your grandfather has yet to be born. If you possess the courage, let us engage in a duel at the training grounds, with life and death at stake. Who fears whom? Forward. Those who refuse are cowards." With a resounding crash, the old commander's longsword struck the ground, bringing a temporary hush to the tent. Yet, both sides remained tense, ready to erupt at the slightest provocation. The old commander coughed before continuing, "Vice Commander Jia and Vice Commander Zhen have come to blows. The question of right or wrong is secondary. However, you all are aware that a formidable human legion looms just beyond the valley, watching us intently. Do you not fear that in your squabbling, the humans might seize the opportunity to invade and eliminate us all? At that point, whether you are genuine or counterfeit, none shall escape." Coughing violently, the old commander spoke these words, prompting two young goblins to rush forward with a spittoon. Blood had been coughed up once again. Upon hearing the old commander's admonition, the goblins on both sides quieted down significantly. They understood the principle that there can be no perfect eggs beneath a collapsing nest. "Old commander, regardless of the situation, we implore you to send reinforcements to rescue Vice Commander Jia." Upon receiving your orders, he immediately dispatched his guards to the valley entrance. Unlike some, who, filled with fear, took over half an hour to mobilize after receiving their orders, one centurion remarked, casting a glance at the centurion standing to his left, "Who are you calling cowardly?" The latter retorted, "When I was struggling in the barracks, you were still nestled in the arms of a dire beast goblin. Though Vice Commander Zhen may have been delayed, he is still a man. Some, however, are uncertain of their own gender. Who are you referring to? Seeking death, are you? I speak of anyone who knows in their heart. Very well, just wait, I shall make you pay." With escalating tensions, the old commander's sword struck the ground twice more, barely regaining control of the situation. "Is this truly how you wish to act, divided and factionalized, seeking to become fodder for the humans? First, tell me, what has become of the poisoned soldiers?" A centurion on the left scoffed and replied, "Almost all the soldiers have exhibited varying degrees of poisoning. Over 5,000 are mildly affected, losing around 20 points of health, but they remain combat ready. More than 3,000 are moderately poisoned, suffering a 20-point reduction in all attributes, with health diminished to 50. Over 1,000 are severely poisoned, reduced to critical health, and unable to move, relying solely on the constant ministrations of our priests. Yet our priests are insufficient, and hundreds have already perished." A centurion on the right erupted in fury, "How dare you? I said that several hundred of my men have been unaccounted for since being taken for detoxification. It appears they have been killed by your hand." Which of your eyes witnessed me slaying them? I have just stated that our priest is insufficient. They were poisoned. Why then did only our subordinates perish while yours remain unscathed? How am I to know? Perhaps this is simply retribution. With insufficient priests, do you not have the means to employ potions? Potions are vital resources. Outside, the human army looms, and with hostilities yet to commence, you squander potions. What will happen when the battle ensues? You treat a few vials of potion as treasures, should more of our ranks fall. We need not wait for the humans to invade. I could annihilate you myself. Come forth. Let us see who can obliterate whom. With a swift motion, the heads of the two brawling centurions rolled to the ground. The aged warlord gradually retracted his long blade, leaning against the table as he breathed heavily. I warned you twice. Should anyone else cause a ruckus within this tent, they shall meet the same fate as those two. The warlord surveyed the remaining individuals, and none dared to utter a word. Though he had grown old, he was far from feeble. His attributes as an 80-level diamond boss remained intact, effortlessly cleaving through these 60-level golden bosses as if they were mere vegetables. Despite his frailty and numerous ailments, he had grown somewhat indulgent towards his subordinates. Furthermore, with his impending retirement, the two vice commanders were fiercely vying for the position of warlord, emboldening the centurions to disregard him, nearly resorting to violence within the tent. However, upon witnessing the warlord's true wrath, they fell silent. After a brief pause, he inquired, "What of the situation on the cliffs flanking the canyon?" Silence enveloped the tent. "What? Have you all gone deaf?" A centurion murmured, "Warlord, the centurion tasked with patrolling the cliffs has just been slain by you." The warlord swallowed hard. "He is dead. Does that mean his duties go unfulfilled? I shall send someone immediately." A centurion on the right promptly stepped forward and exited the tent. This was an opportune moment to expand one's influence. It must not be seized by others. A centurion on the left hastily followed suit, aiming to claim the territory of the deceased centurion and prevent those loyal to Vice Commander Jia from taking advantage. The other centurions could not help but silently curse themselves for their delay. Yet now, even if they were to venture out, fear restrained them. The warlord had just executed two individuals in a fit of rage. No one dared to provoke his ire further. Before long, the two centurions returned, reporting to the warlord. The cliffs on both sides remain guarded by our men, and no human soldiers have been sighted. The warlord exhaled slightly in relief. The advantages of amassing troops within the canyon, where it is easy to defend yet challenging to assault, were unmistakable. However, once the territory secures the cliffs on both sides, the advantage can swiftly transform into a disadvantage. The old commander dared to enter the Gourd Valley precisely because the narrow cliffs on either side provided limited space for footing. Even if the human race attempted to gain a higher vantage point, they would struggle to inflict significant damage upon the Goblin Legion. Nevertheless, the incessant buzzing of mosquitoes in one's ears can be immensely irritating. Moreover, should the cliffs be lost, the entire Legion's situation would be laid bare for all to see. The old commander coughed for a while before speaking. "Each of you, commanders on both sides, shall dispatch a 1,000-man team to support the valley entrance. The remainder will adhere to the original plan, stationed within the valley, particularly reinforcing the cliffs on either side with additional archers and mages. This time, no one is permitted to cast aspersions upon one another. Otherwise, I shall no longer turn a blind eye." The 1,000-man commanders exchanged glances, their reluctance evident, yet they replied, "As you command." The commanders slowly exited the grand tent, drawing the flaps close behind them. The old commander sighed. The valley entrance has likely been lost. All warriors outside have perished. With the entrance compromised, our legion is effectively trapped within the Gourd Valley. If the enemy merely stations a 1,000-man team at the entrance, our forces will be unable to escape. The Gourd Valley has turned into the grave of the entire legion. Yet, the human race has yet to even breach the abyss, have they not? Aside from the NPCs unable to leave their designated areas, their players average a level not even reaching 30. From where, then, did this formidable force emerge? Stealthily eliminating our station patrols and scouts outside the valley? Furthermore, that toxin earlier was evidently a botanical technique. Have the two races conspired together? Though the goblin race is numerous, they have always fought independently. It was only after the abyss descended that the goblin generals and a few leaders managed to tenuously unify the clan. Yet, within their ranks, the various tribes remain treacherous, undermining one another and digging pitfalls for their peers. The plight of my legion is merely a microcosm of the entire goblin populace. The old commander sighed heavily again. Fortunately, these soldiers are merely projections. If an entire legion could be so easily eradicated by the human race, it might not constitute a significant loss. However, if other races were to learn of this, they would perceive goblins as easy prey. If even the weakest humans can effortlessly dismantle a legion, then the likes of the shadow race and the undead race will devise ways to encroach upon the goblins. Given the current circumstances, the goblins will inevitably face fragmentation and disintegration. Once the racial barriers dissolve, goblins may even meet their demise before humans do. Coughing violently, the old commander could not suppress his distress. The two little goblins behind him hastily approached. One presented a spittoon, while the other patted his back, lamenting. It is all that Deputy Commander Zhen's fault for his clever tricks, which led to the loss of the valley entrance, causing you to become enraged. I believe it is Deputy Commander Jia who is too reckless and thoughtless, for it was under his watch that the valley entrance was lost. The veteran commander abruptly ceased his coughing, casting a look of incredulity at the two little goblins beside him, their expressions filled with shock and despair. Fortunately, he was merely a projection. Lu Yu swiftly subdued Deputy Commander Zhen and his entire green-hatted troops. The valley entrance was firmly under Lu Yu's control. Even if the black-headed eagle arrived, it would be impossible for it to fly past. Yet, after the green-hatted troops, no further goblins emerged. Did they not realize that the Gourd Valley entrance had been seized? Just moments ago, the alarm had sounded from within. With a single gesture, Lu Yu summoned several black-headed eagles, which soared into the Gourd Valley. He discerned the insignificance of the cliff, if it had any utility. It was merely to monitor the movements of the goblin army within the valley. However, did he truly need to exert effort to seize the cliff for such surveillance? With his mind linked, the eyes of the black-headed eagles functioned like cameras with billions of pixels, allowing Lu Yu to perceive the situation within the valley in vivid detail. He soon spied the main tent of the goblin commander, the tent flaps wide open, revealing the heated argument between goblins on either side. It became clear to Lu Yu that the two newly subdued deputy commanders had a poor relationship. Nonetheless, in his presence, they behaved quite submissively, refraining from any cunning antics. Eventually, all the centurions exited the main tent, and once the flaps closed, the interior became obscured from view. Only the two factions were seen arguing again before dispatching a 1,000-strong team to advance towards the valley entrance, while the rest of the army remained firmly stationed in place, which displeased Lu Yu greatly. Defending the valley entrance and assaulting the interior posed entirely different levels of difficulty. What he truly hoped for was that the commander inside the tent would act foolishly, leading the entire army to engage in a tactical skirmish with him. Yet, given the current circumstances, it seemed more likely they would maintain their stronghold within the valley. This goblin army was merely a projection, free from concerns about supplies and provisions. As long as Lu Yu did not penetrate their defenses, they could remain there until the abyss descended. Lu Yu licked his lips. Never mind. He would first consume the 2,000 goblins approaching him, for one should not refuse what is graciously offered. Under Lu Yu's command, the green-hatted goblins entered stealth mode, stealthily advancing towards the rear of the 2,000-strong teams. Meanwhile, the Yellow Turban army prepared for battle at the valley entrance, with Deputy Commanders Zhen and Jia standing prominently at the forefront. Lu Yu contemplated for a moment, and ultimately resolved not to permit the goblin general to make an appearance before them unless absolutely necessary. The more frequently such high-ranking individuals expose themselves, the less impactful their presence becomes. With the current strength at hand, having Vice Captain Zhen Jia stand in the forefront sufficed. Gradually, the sound of synchronized footsteps echoed through the canyon. Despite their internal strife, these goblins retained their basic combat proficiency. At this moment, they likely remained unaware that the entrance to the valley had already been lost. Chapter 167. Your vice captain has betrayed you. The orderly march of the goblin warriors grew increasingly audible. The synchronized steps of 2,000 soldiers revealed the caliber of this legion. From above, the Black Eagle surveyed the scene, clearly spotting two rectangular formations in motion. However, this march indicated movement rather than preparation for battle, let alone an impending assault on the gourd mouth. They would strike before they could react. Having just defeated Vice Captain Zhen and the green-hatted goblin, Lu Yu had attained level 37. By vanquishing these 2,000 goblins, he anticipated reaching level 38. Inching closer to the pivotal 40th level, Vice Captain Jia and the Yellow Turban army had already taken their positions at the valley's entrance, awaiting the arrival of the 2,000 goblins. The two goblin contingents rounded the final bend, now merely 200 to 300 meters from the valley entrance, where the vibrant yellow hue was visible from afar. One centurion's face broke into a grin. It appears the valley entrance is still under our Captain Jia's control. Oh, but I wonder where that Jin fellow has gone. Has he been thoroughly routed by our captain? Another centurion's expression darkened. He scoffed. Do not be so smug. Our Captain Zhen is surely in pursuit of the enemy's remnants. And refrain from calling him Captain Jia, so long as Captain Zhen remains. Your Vice Captain Jia will never ascend to full captaincy. What sort of leader can one be with only half a body left? What did you say? Repeat that. Our captain was merely ambushed. It was your lot who reported false alarms. False alarms? Your captain's insignia has already been retrieved by our men. Would you like to see it? You're courting death. Come on, let's see who falls first. As the two began to brawl, they suddenly recalled the old captain's admonitions, each letting out a cold snort and choosing to ignore the other. Through the Black Eagle's vantage, Lu Yu observed the two centurions' irritation, the corners of his mouth curling upward slightly. Such a legion, regardless of its combat prowess, would prove ineffectual. They had now entered the narrowest stretch of Gourd Valley, a distance of 200 meters, where an attack could be launched. With a single command, the Goblin Yellow Turban army surged forth. Vice Captain Jia led the charge, wielding a massive axe. Upon seeing Vice Captain Jia charging toward them, one centurion's face lit up with elation. To one's astonishment, The leader of the group personally emerged to greet them. Behold, at this mouth of the canyon, it is still our commander Jia who holds sway. Your vice commander shall forever remain in the shadows. Upon uttering these words, one of the 1,000-man leaders raised his hand, attempting to greet his commander. Yet, he suddenly realized that although his superior had acknowledged his presence, there was an unmistakable distance between them, as if they were strangers. Glancing back at the yellow-turbaned soldiers behind him, he observed their faces filled with murderous intent. It appeared that these individuals were not here to welcome him. Another 1,000-man leader, unable to contain his glee, exclaimed, "Ha ha, it seems your vice commander no longer recognizes you." Ha ha. At that moment, the yellow turban army was less than 100 meters away, their battle cries reverberating through the canyon. The two leaders finally sensed the gravity of the situation. This was not mere unfamiliarity. Rather, they were being regarded as enemies. Upon noticing the red IDs above the heads of Commander Jia and the yellow turban soldiers, the realization struck. No, damn it, I knew it. Your Commander Jia has betrayed us. One of the 1,000-man leaders shouted, "Prepare for battle." The other, still reeling from confusion, could not fathom why their commander would turn traitor, especially when he was more likely to ascend to the position of Legion Commander. However, Vice Commander Jia had already charged forth with the yellow turban army, leaving him no time to ponder the matter further. The goblin soldiers hastily formed a shield wall, attempting to withstand the onslaught of the yellow turbans. Suddenly, the sky above them darkened. The goblin warriors looked up in bewilderment, only to see a couple of hundred black-headed eagles diving down. Although their numbers were few, in the confined mouth of the canyon, they seemed to blot out the sun. The black-headed eagles swooped down like fighter jets, gliding over the heads of the goblin warriors. Their sharp talons tore through the shield wall effortlessly, dismantling the hastily constructed defense. The yellow turban goblins surged into the ranks of the goblin 1,000-man unit, their sides sweeping left and right, reaping lives as they went. The 1,000-man leaders from Vice Commander Jia's faction hesitated, uncertain whether to retaliate. Meanwhile, the subordinates of Vice Commander Zhen had already begun to encircle the encroaching yellow turbans. Regardless of whether these yellow turbans were genuine defectors or not, in this situation, eliminating them was paramount. Though formidable, the yellow turbans could be dealt with if surrounded. Just then, a commotion erupted at the rear of the 1,000-man unit, followed by the screams of the rear row units. A 1,000-man unit consisted of 300 shield bearers, 500 spear soldiers, 100 archers, and 100 spellcasters. The fragile archers and spellcasters were the unit's offensive backbone, positioned at the back of the formation. The previous screams had originated from them. The 2,000-man leaders quickly turned to look behind, where they beheld a horde of goblins donned in green hats, wielding daggers, mercilessly backstabbing the rear-line units. Leading these green-hatted goblins is none other than Deputy Commander Zhen, one of the two vice commanders. In an instant, a centurion from Commander Jia's faction shouted, "How dare you speak of our commander? Just look at your Zhen." Another centurion, taken aback, realized that the betrayal extended beyond the opposing vice commander. Even their own commander had defected. What use is there in lamenting now? We must swiftly organize our defenses and issue the highest alert to the rear. One by one, red signal flares shot into the sky, signaling the utmost level of alarm. The battlefield descended into chaos, yet Lu Yu did not impede the ascent of the signal flares, nor was there any necessity to do so. These 2,000-strong units could not retreat. The Goblin Legion within the valley could not provide reinforcements. Even the most foolish of commanders would not employ any tactics that would exacerbate the situation in such terrain. The outcome of sending these alerts was already predetermined. The yellow turban army was engaged in the front, the green-hatted goblins were cutting off their output from behind, and black-headed eagles were harassing from above. All these factors combined pronounced the death sentence for these two units. The other boss-level summoned beasts in Lu Yu's possession joined the fray. With the addition of these over a dozen bosses, the annihilation of the 2,000-strong units accelerated. In less than half an hour, only a few remained, and both centurions fell to their respective vice commanders. After summoning them again, the two not only reconciled but also shared laughter. Your commander has an eye for talent, aligning with our master early on. Ha ha ha, your commander is no slouch either. He too has swiftly embraced the light. The fools in the valley stubbornly resisted, hopelessly so. Rest assured, the entire legion will eventually fall under our master's banner. Chapter 168. Surprise attack. Without losing a single summoned beast, Lu Yu successfully vanquished the 2,000-strong units. After clearing the battlefield, as before, he found nothing but 10,000 gold coins, devoid of any equipment. However, this time, he noticed the newly acquired 2,000 goblin warriors, each clad in vibrant armor and fully equipped. Lu Yu suddenly realized that the absence of equipment drops from these wild creatures was somewhat justifiable. His level had now risen to 38. Once he dealt with the remaining goblins in Gourd Valley, level 40 would be assured. Yet, how to eliminate the remaining 8,000 was no trivial matter. The black-headed eagles circled above Gourd Valley, and Lu Yu had discerned the situation within. Each encampment was fortified with barricades, shield warriors in the front, spear wielders in the middle, and ranged classes in the rear. The entire valley was encircled like a barrel. Even if the summoned beasts charged in, exhausting the entire skeleton army, they might not breach the defenses. That old commander exhibited considerable skill. With the Goblin Legion unable to exit the gorge, he opted for a defensive stance within. Lu Yu glanced at the Vine Demon, which still appeared to be in a lethargic state. Having been completely drained of my last bit of savings, I felt utterly deflated. It seems that without a day or two, recovery is not feasible. However, Lu Yu cannot afford to linger here for that long. Moreover, since preparations have already been made within, the method of toxic assault may likely prove ineffective. If a direct attack is not viable, alternative strategies must be devised. Xiao Jia, has your old commander been unwell? The two former vice commanders promptly nodded in response. In answer to the master's inquiry, the old commander is a knight by profession, yet he indeed suffers from advanced age and serious illness, having not mounted a steed for quite some time. He is expected to resign within a month or two at most. And what of his personal guard? What is their caliber? His personal guard consists of a cavalry unit, an elite force of 100, each at level 70. Oh, cavalry, Lu Yu mused. Although the space within the canyon is ample, the presence of such a multitude of troops and encampments makes it difficult for cavalry to maneuver freely. The recent skirmish revealed to Lu Yu that, while the old commander still directs the legion, it is essentially under the command of the two vice commanders, with the vice commanders now serving as Lu Yu's summoned beasts. Should the old commander also be subdued, the entire legion would disintegrate into disarray. Defeating a well-trained goblin legion is no simple task, yet vanquishing 8,000 disorganized goblins poses little challenge. It appears that a calculated risk must be taken. Xiao Jia shortly. Take a few thousand skeleton soldiers and attempt to launch an assault within the canyon. Although the Goblin Yellow Turban army has not sustained losses, their health has dwindled to below half. My single target healing spell suffices for restoring the boss, yet applied to 200 goblins, it proves woefully inadequate. Conversely, the ambushing green-hatted goblins still maintain health above 80. To minimize losses, Lu Yu decides to refrain from deploying the Goblin Yellow Turban army for the time being. The loss of such elite troops would be regrettable. Currently, with the skeleton soldiers in abundance, some losses would be inconsequential. Indeed, but speak your mind. Yes, master. If we proceed with the attack, the outcome may not be favorable. Vice Commander Jia, being a vice commander of a legion, possesses the insight to grasp this situation, providing Lu Yu with a tactful warning. I am aware that a few thousand skeleton soldiers are hardly sufficient for the task. My intention is not to breach a hole through iron. When you commence the attack, create a grander spectacle, drawing the enemy's attention as much as possible. Understood. Vice Commander Jia readily assented. Lu Yu then turned to Vice Commander Zhen. Xiao Zhen, your stealth skills are commendable, are they not? Deputy Commander Zhen immediately grasped Lu Yu's implication. In response to the master's words, my personal guards are the elite within the entire legion. Infiltrating to the central military tent poses no challenge. Lu Yu nodded in satisfaction. There is no need to reach the central tent. The more individuals present, the greater the likelihood of detection. Shortly, I shall stealthily guide you inside. Thereafter, the elite guard of the old commander will be entrusted to you. Understood. Lu Yu retracted all summoned beasts, leaving only a few thousand skeletal soldiers for Deputy Commander Jia. Subsequently, he produced a vial of stealth potion, a gift from Sun Miao, the assistant mentor of Ru Meng Jiangnan, bestowed upon him before his entrance into the abyssal cave. At that time, he had received numerous potions. Yet he and Ru Meng Jiangnan had only utilized 2 vials of the stealth potion. The remainder was stowed in his backpack, now proving invaluable. Lu Yu consumed the potion in one swift gulp, his form swiftly vanishing as he entered a state of stealth. The disparity of levels, being 60 against 38, still posed a risk of detection. However, it was imperative for Lu Yu to personally infiltrate. Dispatching Zhen and 200 green-hatted goblins into the heart of the legion would merely incite a commotion, quickly quelled. The old commander, though aged and frail, had not lost the attributes of his former 80-level prowess. Fortuitously, this legion comprised goblins rather than the abyssal race. Otherwise, the tactic of stealthy assault would have been rendered futile. Carefully, Lu Yu navigated along the cliff face, stealthily making his way into the legion. The deeper he ventured, the more astonished he became. The formation laid out by the old commander was remarkably adept, far surpassing the capabilities typical of a sideline commander. Approaching the vicinity of the central tent, Lu Yu summoned Deputy Commander Zhen and the green-hatted goblins. They emerged from the summoning space already cloaked in stealth. Under Zhen's leadership, the 200 green-hatted goblins stealthily advanced toward the position of the commander's elite guards. Meanwhile, Lu Yu stealthily approached the tent's exterior. The tent's flaps remained closed, yet he could faintly discern a cough emanating from within. The old commander appeared to be on the brink of death. Just as Lu Yu neared the tent, the coughing abruptly ceased, followed immediately by a long blade piercing through the tent's fabric. Lu Yu hastily retreated, the blade narrowly grazing the tip of his nose. Indeed, deceiving a level 60 common beast was facile, but outwitting an 80-level diamond boss was an impossibility. The old commander, leaning on his long blade, emerged outside the tent. Upon seeing Lu Yu, he exhibited a trace of surprise. Qingjiu, it is you. No wonder. Chapter 169, The Stalwart Man, huh? Another who recognizes me among the foreign races. It is rather peculiar. It is understandable for many within the human race to know of me, given that Liu Yu had previously undertaken numerous astounding endeavors to establish his renown. However, it is rather peculiar that so many of the other races can readily utter their own names. One must remember that Liu Yu has always been accustomed to concealing his identity. The barriers between races have not yet vanished. Yet there are already countless individuals from other races who not only know their names, but also remember their appearances. Even a mere projection can recognize itself upon sight. It seems that Liu Yu has long made it onto the lists of various races. He has grown accustomed to such attention. Even the son of the underworld has specifically sought his demise. What difference does it make with the goblins? Liu Yu scrutinized the old Legion commander before him. His hair was streaked with gray, and his skin sagged, embodying the very essence of decrepitude. Yet, Liu Yu dared not underestimate him. For within those murky eyes lay a palpable intent to kill. This was a seasoned veteran, battle-hardened and resilient, despite the ravages of time. Moreover, the long knife in his hand struck Liu Yu as eerily familiar. Its design bore a striking resemblance to the long knife wielded by the goblin general. If I had known you would come, I would have personally stationed guards at the valley's entrance, the old commander remarked. It seems you do not have much faith in your deputy commander. Humph. Those two fools were once quite capable, but in recent years, their energies have been squandered on petty squabbles. Not at all. I find their coordination rather commendable, Liu Yu replied. If Zhen and Jia were in the summoning space, he would indeed consider bringing them forth to demonstrate their unity and harmony to this old commander. The old commander closed his eyes, a hint of sorrow evident upon his visage. Indeed, those two must have become your subordinates by now. You speak true. Abyssal summoners are indeed a profession that invokes trepidation among all races. It appeared the old man was familiar with the goblin general, and judging by his tone, it seemed he had once mingled with him. No wonder the long knife he wielded bore such resemblance to the goblin general's weapon. At that moment, faint sounds of chaos drifted from the valley entrance, accompanied by the cries of anguish and the sounds of battle emanating from behind the grand tent. With careful calculation, the old commander's cavalry, though outnumbered, found themselves at a disadvantage, unable to capitalize on their mobility. The elite cavalry was being ruthlessly slaughtered by the green-hatted goblins. The clamor would soon draw the attention of the Goblin Legion within the Gourd Valley. Yet, Liu Yu felt no trepidation within this legion. Two of the three commanding officers were already his allies. The final one, should he summon the Lord of the Underworld, could also be easily subdued. At present, although it appeared that the Goblin Legion still numbered 8,000, they posed no real threat. With this realization, Liu Yu suddenly grasped why his name appeared on the assassination lists of various great races. With the destructive potential he possessed, it would indeed be unreasonable not to be pursued. Old Commander, since you are aware of my existence, you should also have a fair understanding of my capabilities. From this day forth, I fear your legion shall no longer serve the goblin race. The old commander sighed deeply, his eyes filled with resignation. He possessed some memories of his true self, recalling that for the past fortnight, the goblin general had incessantly muttered the name Qingjio. Furthermore, it appeared that he had conspired with other races, covertly orchestrating numerous plans, seemingly intent on eliminating Qingjio before the abyss descended upon the human realm. Thus, he became aware of Qingjio's formidable strength. Given the current circumstances, it seemed inevitable that his legion would, indeed, fall under Qingjio's command today. If it were within his power, the old commander would prefer to issue an order for all goblin warriors to take their own lives at once. As long as they did not perish at the hands of Qingjio, they would not become his summoned beasts. However, these goblin warriors were not the type to embrace death willingly. While they could be urged to charge into battle, the notion of self-destruction was utterly absurd. Liu Yu suddenly inquired, Old Commander, I am rather curious. Between Zhen and Jia, whom do you prefer to succeed you as the commander? He continued, do you feel certain of your victory, hence your desire to engage in further conversation with me? Or do you doubt your ability to contend with me? This level 80 diamond boss, and seek to buy time for your allies to arrive? The old commander remained oblivious to Liu Yu's connection with the Lord of the Underworld. To him, it seemed Liu Yu was merely stalling for time. He anticipated that once the deputy commander Jin dealt with his personal guards, they would converge together to eliminate him. Liu Yu further elucidated, your reluctance to act suggests you are waiting for reinforcements from the rest of the Legion, hoping for a final confrontation. The old commander did not respond affirmatively. He understood that Liu Yu could summon countless beasts. Relying solely on his own strength would surely lead to exhaustion. Thus, he refrained from attacking, awaiting the arrival of other goblin warriors for assistance. Since death was an inevitable conclusion, why not make a final stand? What if, against all odds, he managed to vanquish Qingjio? Who could succeed me as commander? I am but a projection. How could I possibly discern the thoughts of my true self? However, if it were up to me, those two, neither shall prevail. Liu Yu remained silent, patiently awaiting the old commander's explanation. Zhen was merely a petty, conniving individual, adept at underhanded tactics. Placing him in command of a legion would surely lead to its downfall. Jia, on the other hand, was a man of action but lacked intellect. Such individuals are best suited as subordinates. Once elevated to leadership, they would undoubtedly falter. Moreover, he had always been dragged along by Zheng's rhythm, aligning himself with Zheng's factions. Should he become commander, the entire legion would collapse even more swiftly. Does that imply that this legion will soon have a new commander parachuted in? I have stated, I am merely a projection. The next commander bears no relation to me whatsoever. Lu Yu nodded, acknowledging that this old man, capable of mingling with the goblin general, possessed a modicum of wisdom. I eagerly anticipate him becoming my summoned beast. At last, the sound of footsteps echoed from afar. The goblin warriors stationed in the valley were hastening to provide support. Qingjiu, it's time for us to engage in a decisive battle. Let us see if these old bones of mine can send you back to the spring. Lu Yu smacked his lips. Your opponent is not me. With a single gesture, the Lord of the Nether Fortress materialized at his side. The old commander gazed at the Lord of the Nether Fortress with murky eyes, initially perplexed, seemingly contemplating the nature of this summoned beast. Then, his pupils quivered, clearly recognizing the illustrious name of the Nether Singer. In the next instant, both the old commander and the Lord of the Nether Fortress vanished from sight. Lu Yu, meanwhile, calmly summoned the 2,000 goblin warriors he had just tamed, shielding himself within their ranks. He aimed to momentarily withstand the onslaught of the incoming warriors. Once the Lord of the Nether Fortress dispatched the old commander, the goblin army would be left leaderless and in disarray, providing an opportunity for a counterattack. Lu Yu silently calculated. With the old commander present, the army now had a commander. He had discerned the old commander's capabilities earlier and felt assured in entrusting the entire regiment to him, thus sparing himself the need for direct involvement. As Lu Yu pondered this, a beam of light descended beside him. The Lord of the Nether Fortress returned, yet the old commander was nowhere to be seen. Did he not perish? If he did not perish, he should have returned to his original position by now. Where is that old commander? The Lord of the Nether Fortress expressed deep regret. I must report to my master. I was incapable, failing to slay that old goblin myself. A sense of foreboding washed over Lu Yu. What transpired? He chose to end his own life before I could vanquish him. Upon hearing this, Lu Yu inhaled deeply, then exhaled slowly. This outcome was entirely unforeseen. Since entering the novice village, this was the first wild creature he had failed to subdue. What a steadfast man. A sense of reverence for the old commander welled up within Lu Yu. Chapter 170. Internal Strife. If all humans were like this, the previous world would not have suffered continual defeats. If the goblin race were comprised entirely of such individuals, they would inevitably become the foremost race of the abyss. Alas, there are no ifs. Lu Yu shook his head. He was now ensnared in a dire situation, with goblin warriors outside desperately charging to rescue the old commander. This was not the time for such thoughts. At that moment, Vice Commander Zhen returned with the Green Hat Squad, having successfully annihilated the old commander's elite guard without sustaining any losses. 100 level 70 elite knights, along with their steeds, now stood in Lu Yu's summoning space. Master, what shall we do next? Let us depart. Lu Yu refrained from summoning the knights. Instead, he recalled the 2,000 goblin warriors and the green hat goblins back into the summoning space. Simultaneously, he gulped down the stealth potion, causing him to vanish from sight. The goblin warriors were in a state of urgent anxiety to rescue the old commander. Engaging them directly would lead to considerable losses, even if they managed to triumph. What Lu Yu sought was the entire legion, not merely the victory of this battle. He aimed to let them realize that the old commander had disappeared, leaving the entire legion devoid of leadership. Given the internal strife among the centurions, each would undoubtedly aspire to seize control of the legion. Yet none possessed the strength to overshadow the others. In such a scenario, their individual skirmishes would present an opportune moment for Lu Yu to reap the rewards. Half an hour earlier, upon hearing the sounds of combat near the command tent, for nearby, 1,000-man squads quickly rushed over under the guidance of their respective centurions. They encountered resistance from Lu Yu's summoned beasts and began to fight back fiercely, charging toward the old commander's tent. Previously, nearly everyone in the legion had heard a troubling rumor. Both vice commanders had perished in battle and even turned against them. This information had been deliberately leaked by Lu Yu. Initially, no one believed it. Instead, members from both factions accused each other of scheming, leading to a flurry of mutual insults. However, it soon became apparent that the old commander ordered a defensive posture, realizing the unsettling truth of the rumor. Coupled with the silence from the 2,000-man squads sent to the valley's entrance, panic began to spread. In this turmoil, the old commander emerged as the backbone of the legion once more, embodying their hope for survival. When news of the situation at the command tent reached them, it was only natural for them to fight desperately for his rescue. Yet, just as they prepared for a fierce charge, the summoned goblin warriors blocking their path vanished into thin air. As they arrived near the command tent, led by their centurions, they found it eerily empty. Not only was the old commander missing, but even his loyal guards had seemingly evaporated without a trace. Instantly, chaos erupted among them. Where is the old commander? Where has he gone? He must have been ambushed. Impossible. The old commander is an 80-level diamond boss. How could he be slain so swiftly? Let me see. He must have felt overwhelmed by the enemies outside the valley and fled with his guards. The cliffs surround us. How could he escape unnoticed? You just claimed he is an 80-level diamond boss. He likely possesses skills to traverse mountains effortlessly. Everyone, quiet down. With both vice commanders dead and the old commander missing, what will we do if the enemies from outside the valley attack? Right. We must focus on self-preservation. Then we need someone to unify command. In that case, I propose that our squad leads the formation of a defensive system, and I will temporarily oversee the entire Legion's defense. Wait, you propose that your squad should lead? I see you aspire to become the Legion commander. Indeed. What gives you the right to lead us, just because you are part of your team? With your stature, do you truly believe you can assume such a position? In my opinion, only our second team is worthy of this great responsibility. Step aside. Before the second team's captain could finish speaking, someone rudely interrupted. Your second team is nothing but a bunch of trash, including you, Captain. What did you say? Are you looking for death? Oh, quite audacious, aren't we? Let us step outside and see who fares better. A ragtag group. I disdain to associate with you. I shall lead the fourth team to break out myself. You may handle your own affairs. Break out. That's laughable. With your mere 1,000 troops? The 7th and 8th teams have long since gone to reinforce the valley entrance, and there has been no word from them. Do you truly believe your 1,000 are superior to their 2,000? Those two teams are nothing but a horde of useless trash. How could they possibly compare to us in the 4th team? Indeed, the enemy is not as formidable as we once believed. How did you two return from the front lines? Weren't there reports of an impending attack on our encampment? Uft, they are merely a horde of skeleton soldiers, barely at level 30 or 40. We do not require our personal oversight for them. Excellent. Everyone shall heed my command. Why should we follow your orders? A few black-headed eagles circled above, as Lu Yu observed everything from the grand tent. Initially expecting to wait a while longer for these factions to fracture, he was surprised to witness their imminent internal discord. Even the two captains stationed at the front rushed back at the first hint of news to seize power. Very well, we can commence the attack. Chapter 171. The short among the shortest, the green-hatted goblin entered stealth mode, quietly making his way towards the goblin camp closest to the valley entrance. Two previously robust goblin 1,000-man teams stood in a standoff against the blustering Vice Captain Jia. However, the goblin soldiers stationed here had dwindled to merely a few hundred. The remaining goblin warriors had been led back by the two captains to contest for the position of Legion commander. By now, darkness had enveloped the sky, the chilling moonlight casting an eerie glow over the goblin encampment. At the two nearest camps to the valley entrance, dozens of goblin soldiers patrolled listlessly. Though only a few hundred remained, they were utterly indifferent to the enemies outside the valley. During the day, they had already witnessed the appearance of those so-called foes. Skeleton soldiers, the highest level among them barely reaching level 40. Upon seeing those bony figures, the goblin warriors nearly burst into laughter. Their supposed formidable adversaries turned out to be nothing but a horde of diminutive skeletons. How ridiculous that they had prepared with such trepidation for this. It seems that Vice Captains Zhun and Jia were likely embroiled in their own internal strife, leading to mutual destruction. When those skeletons feigned an assault, even their boss dared not show face, further solidifying the goblin warriors' suspicions. Had it not been for the old Legion commander's stern decree to merely hold the line and refrain from counterattacking, they would have long since breached the gorge. Thus, upon hearing of the old commander's misfortune, the two centurions promptly returned with the majority of their forces, leaving only a few hundred to maintain a token defense. Within the confines of their tent, the two centurions engaged in a desultory conversation. My friend, who among us do you think will ascend to the position of Legion commander? Certainly not you. That's obvious, isn't it? Do you think our superior would rush back if he had any hope of claiming that title? In my view, this matter ultimately hinges on whose fist is stronger. With the vice commander deceased and the old commander's fate uncertain, I foresee the dissolution of our legion. Enough of that talk. Go outside and keep an eye out. We cannot afford to be ambushed by those skeletal remains. An ambush? We would be fortunate just to avoid engaging them. Before he could finish, a dagger pierced his back. The figure of Vice Commander Zhun gradually materialized. Is this how you wish me dead? The stabbed centurion's gaze began to fade, transforming into a streak of light that shot out of the tent. The centurion seated opposite paled instantly. Zhun, Commander Zhun, how have you returned? Wait. Your ID is red. You have betrayed the Legion. I have not betrayed the Legion. I have found my true allegiance. The specter of Vice Commander Zhun flickered, and in an instant, the short blade had plunged into the body of the centurion across from him. Simultaneously, other goblin warriors outside the camp also fell victim to betrayal. The muffled groans and screams intermingled within the encampment. In a fleeting moment, the hundreds of goblin warriors left behind were all drawn into Lu Yu's summoning space. The entrance was opened. With a single hand, Lu Yu summoned forth all the summoned beasts within. He addressed Zhun and Vice Commander Jia. I shall grant each of you 100 black-headed eagles, 1,000 goblin warriors, 3,000 spectral guards, and 5,000 skeleton soldiers. In addition to your personal guards, based on your performances, I will decide who shall oversee the entire legion. Upon hearing Lu Yu's words, the two men eagerly rubbed their hands together and departed with their forces. Although the old commander had deemed neither of them fit for the role of legion commander, once Lu Yu had claimed the entire goblin legion, He could not continue to command personally forever. Thus, a commander was necessary. With the old commander still unconquered, it was a matter of elevating the lesser among them. Soon, the sounds of battle echoed through the gorge. Lu Yu stood alone at the mouth of the gorge, observing the beams of light streaming into his summoning space. He promptly summoned them forth, deploying them onto the battlefield. According to his estimates, at least 80 of the goblin warriors could be brought under his command, with the remaining 20 comprising losses incurred after becoming summoned beasts. Due to a lack of experience with the old legion, Lu Yu could only rely on the 8,000 goblins for his upgrade. He hoped their experience would suffice to elevate him to level 40. With Zhun and deputy leader Jia leading the team ahead, Lu Yu opened the guild's group chat. The Abyss Lord's roster was nearly full with 1,000 players. Following Lu Yu's instructions, 10 spots were left vacant for those seeking peace. It was the dead of night, a peak time for entering the game, and nearly all players of the Abyss Lord were online. The group chat was abuzz with messages, breaking the boat. Brothers of Team 1, we're heading to Wanjin Mountain to level up soon. After our guild leader tamed the dwarves there, a new type of wild monster emerged, a level 35 skeleton, perfectly suited for us. Pure-hearted youth. Are there any assassins in the guild who want to form a team? I'm looking to create a pure assassin squad. Little knife, me. Big brother, I'm an assassin, I'm in. Stabbed, is that a newcomer up there? Just a heads up, pure-hearted youth is actually a cute girl. Artilleryman, goddess Ru Meng, do you have time to heal our summoned beasts? Our captain, Northern Bear, is too shy to ask, so I'm doing it for him. Ru Meng Jiangnan, replying to Artilleryman, I'm at the East Gate, bring your team over, I'll be waiting. Ru Meng Jiangnan, replying to Invincible Handsome Boy, if others have it, you may not. Artilleryman, replying to Ru Meng Jiangnan, alright, goddess. Our leader says he'll bring us over. Invincible Handsome Boy, replying to Ru Meng Jiangnan, why is that? Ru Meng Jiangnan, replying to Invincible Handsome Boy, because I don't want to see your ID. Seeing the lively conversations in the chat, Lu Yu felt a warmth in his heart and decided to join in with a few teasing remarks directed at Shinju. Instantly, the guild members, who had been discussing various topics, shifted their attention to Lu Yu. The guild leader has appeared. Come and witness. When will the guild leader return? We've yet to meet you. Guild leader, lead us in leveling up. I want to soar. Do you have any new summoned beasts to exchange, guild leader? I've saved up many contribution points. With some time on his hands, Lu Yu patiently responded to the various messages in the chat. He increasingly felt that establishing the guild was one of his wisest decisions. Chapter 172. Quest rewards in the blink of an eye. The night passed. Lu Yu had spent the entire night chatting in the group, feeling both exhausted and fulfilled. Some guild members began to log off. They were unaware of the impending calamity of the abyss and continued to toil for their daily sustenance. Lu Yu exited the group chat and gazed into the depths of Hulu Valley. The cries of battle have faded to a whisper, signaling that it is time to commence the final cleansing of the battlefield. In the realm of gaming, this task is far less daunting and gruesome than in reality, primarily involving the collection of gold coins and the apprehension of any remaining foes. Vice Captain Zhun and his companion, Vice Captain Jia, have returned, each having meticulously compiled their tallies of enemy casualties and losses. Vice Captain Jia's summoned creatures, the skeletal warriors, suffered over 1,000 fatalities, while the goblin warriors and spectral sentinels endured losses exceeding 500. In contrast, Vice Captain Zhun fared significantly better, despite losing a similar number of skeletal warriors. His goblin warriors and spectral sentinels sustained almost no casualties. Overall, the losses incurred were considerably lower than what Lu Yu had anticipated. In truth, during this hunt, Vice Captain Zhun's goblin forces held the advantage. When two armies clashed in earnest combat, it was the goblin yellow turbans that excelled. However, these goblin legions, now leaderless, could not mount an effective resistance against the surprise assault from two former commanders. Any sporadic attempts at resistance crumbled almost instantaneously. The pursuit of these frightened, disheartened stragglers favored the assassins even more. After a moment of contemplation, Lu Yu decided to replace Vice Captain Zhun's title with that of a representative. In choosing between the two, Lu Yu found himself more inclined towards Zhun. Now, they were his summoned beasts, bound to obey his commands above all else, a stark contrast to their previous loyalties. Under such circumstances, any cunning tricks employed by Zhun would serve his interests rather than harm him. Although Jia was a man of action, as the old commander had remarked, he could only attend to tangible matters. Reflecting on this, Lu Yu let out a sigh. This was the only course of action available to him. Regrettably, he had been unable to recruit the old commander, which would have alleviated his dilemma between the two. Logically, these wild creatures were merely projections, poised to respawn upon death. However, an 80-level diamond boss would not reappear in just a day or two. Lu Yu had no time to linger. He needed to prepare for the impending confrontation with the alien races. The 8,000 goblins yielded a bounty exceeding 50,000 gold coins, and in total, Lu Yu amassed 100,000 gold coins from the entire goblin horde. Under normal circumstances, he would have deemed this a significant windfall. Yet now, with the pressure of Sun Hanyu's target of 3 million gold coins looming over him, this sum still fell short by 700,000 coins. Additionally, He required 50 more experience points to reach level 40, which was also rather unsatisfactory. The experience points were manageable. A simple visit to a training spot would suffice to gather the remaining 50. However, the question remained, where would he procure the necessary gold? In truth, if Lu Yu were to ask Du Guohua for 700,000 gold coins, his elder brother would undoubtedly oblige without hesitation. Yet, Lu Yu was resolute in his decision not to do so. Borrowing this time would create an obligation, and in the future, should the Champions Alliance require assistance, would he be compelled to lend a hand? Lu Yu was unwilling to incur such a debt of gratitude. However, the efficiency of slaying monsters for gold is exceedingly low. After vanquishing 10,000 goblins, one only acquires a mere 100,000 coins, which is considered a relatively high drop rate for wild creatures. In contrast,